Welcome back, everybody, to the Season 4 of RSL. We are in the second day of the playoffs. We're going to be having some, hopefully, great games today. Joined with me is Mr. Surgeon himself. Welcome. How we feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. We've got some top level.
And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another season, another edition here of the RSL. The RSL 2026 season number 4, playoffs day 2. I'm, of course, just VIP. With me, I'm joined by, of course, our main casters, by both Gemini and Sturgeon over on the main stream. Meanwhile, we are here co-streaming. This is essentially almost like a React stream. So we still have the main feed and the main caster audio coming through. And, of course, we are here to add our own little commentary, to add our own little reactions, if you will. Of course, as always, we do have permission to co-stream. We don't co-stream too often, but we co-stream RSL, we co-stream EWC back when we had EWC, and I want to say we co-streamed a couple of DreamHacks as well. So again, we've done a bit of co-streaming on the channel, always with permission, of course. Always some weird people coming in and being like, why are you doing this? It's like, we have permission. It's like, oh, okay. So yeah, so here we go. So we are going to be co-streaming, and meanwhile, we do have the upcoming matches ahead of us here. Yesterday we were live with day 1, and now we're here with day number 2. We have 2 best of 5s. We have herO versus MaxPax in a PvP, and Rogue versus Trigger in a PvZ. So 2 best of 5s. This is always one of my biggest criticisms about RSL is their schedule. It's very short, so really short broadcasting days. Only 2 best of 5s. So we got to get our StarCraft while we can, papi. Aye. You might also be thinking, hold up, it's Sunday. Don't you typically have Sparkling Tunic up on Sundays? We do, but because of RSL and because we didn't want to clash with RSL, we have moved Tunic Up over to Tuesday. So it has been moved over to the Tuesday broadcast instead. Just bear that in mind. So this is going to be Tunic Up this week, just moved on towards a later date. Meanwhile, a big shout in the chat, a big shout out to Slojo, Slojo in the chat. Thank you so much for subscribing for 19 months. Thank you so much. We'd always appreciate it. Likewise, shout out to John T as well, John T LCE, for subscribing for 15 months as well. So thank you so much. We do appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the channel. Hope you've been enjoying the content, the casting of the StarCraft. We always appreciate your support. Thank you, puppy. Thank you. Do appreciate it. Oh. Why are you doing this? You could be spending your time on a real video game. Kappa. Don't be a clown in the chat, papi. Don't be a clown. But yes, we're here. We are back. Also, a big shout out to Archon Studios. As you can see here, Archon Studios, they are sponsoring the event, and I believe they've made a short video with Tasteless unboxing Zeratul, and I believe with Sturgeon putting Zeratul together. I still feel like they're a little bit lacking when it comes to what they could be doing when it comes to their promotion in regards to RSL, in regards to actually talking a little bit about it, presenting it in a better way, even having a short game as well. The games don't last that long. Specifically just as a way to help actually pad out the broadcast day, because broadcast days are so short. There are ways to actually fill in that time with some other things, of course, as they're just showing off the StarCraft Miniatures trailer. We can listen in.
With all its glory and all its horror.
But this is like the teaser trailer that came out a couple of weeks ago, showcasing the miniatures. Let's go. The Terran miniatures. Actually, we can zoom in a little bit here. Bam. The Zerg miniatures and the Protoss miniatures as well. We've already gone in depth in regards to the roadmap and the release schedule for the year during the podcast. So if you want to tune into the podcast, here are more in-depth thoughts regarding all of this, regarding the August release, the October release, the December release as well, and the upcoming application that they're creating, the kind of app to help when it comes to playing the game as well. It is really cool. It's a really cool feature. The app also features like a calendar, an event calendar with all the locals and all the events that are happening around the world, so you can kind of input like where you are, like if you're in Australia or the US of A, and it'll tell you where there are local tournaments and local events that are actually using the StarCraft Miniatures game that are taking place in your local area. So there's a lot to get into. We discussed it a couple of weeks ago during the podcast, so I do recommend checking out our weekly podcast where we go more in depth in regards to StarCraft news. But otherwise, we do have our Patreon, !Patreon in the
check it out. There's a bunch of different tiers.
!Patreon in the chat, or !RSL in the chat as well. !RSL. So you can check out the Patreon to help support the RSL and to help support the players, help support the scene, help support the tournament. Is all there. It is all there. Not me waking up earlier for STC, but I didn't read the day change announcement on challenge. Yes, yes. Again, it's usually the STC is on Sundays, but every now and then there's like an RSL, or there's a Home Story Cup, or a DreamHack, or a Star Zagora. Basically, whenever there's like a big event happening over the weekend, we usually move from Sunday to Tuesday. That's typically the reasoning and the rationale as to why that would be moved. Again, it doesn't happen often, but every now and then there's a big event like this over the weekend that we do try to steer clear of, and we try not to clash with our schedules. We do our best. Do our best. It's all good. Do you know if they have any plans for a digital version of the Witcher game? God, no. No. I think the best you can do with that is God, what's the game on Steam? It's a virtual tabletop. God, hold on. Let's open up our Steam library. Tabletop Simulator, that's it. The best you can do is Tabletop Simulator, which I think you can also play Warhammer on Tabletop Simulator as well. But I would imagine that people will go the extra mile to recreate this game in Tabletop Simulator, so you can get a group of friends together and play Warhammer or play the StarCraft Ninjas game through Tabletop Simulator. But outside of that, it is just going to be like a physical release, I should say.
In this tournament, especially with Classic out, this is probably the highest level PvP that we'll be seeing in this entire tournament. So I'm very excited to see how this one actually plays out. We're going to be loading on into actually Necropolis, the first time we get to see this map in the tournament. Let's see how it goes.
It's happening. We are in Necropolis for the first time in the RSL. Super excited. And like you said, this is going to be not just a high-level game, but also is herO. It might just be a crazy game where nothing makes sense, and then he wins at the end of it. That's just sometimes how herO
so jumping into the spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the Danish Protoss player. It is MaxPax for Sashstrom Gaming. Top left is going to be herO for T1. If you're in the chat, very quickly, predictions. So predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Get your gamba going, pappy. Get your gamba going. So you can place your bets. Coming into this PvP, it's going to be a very close one. These two go back and forth. Historically, herO has had the stronger PvP versus MaxPax, but in very recent weeks, we have seen MaxPax get a better on herO. More importantly, right now, they're showcasing the map. Remember, this is an upcoming TLMC, or this is a new map that has been made for the most recent TLMC, so I'm really curious to see how this map plays out.
So he is immediately going to be going for that. Whereas herO will be just kind of playing it back, going for a normal 2-gate opener.
So very quickly, there is a ramp coming into the natural, so MaxPax is already making use of that, going for a greedier build. herO is going for a 2-gate opener. It does look like we have relatively secure third base locations, but the distance between the bases seems to be a little bit longer, and the area in between the natural third and fourth base seems to be abusable on this map. But I'm only briefly just getting a couple of glimpses on it. There's a high chance that herO one base all-ins.
It will be him. There's that first pylon. We'll have to keep an eye on what he's planning to proxy there. Could be a robo, most likely, maybe a Stargate, something crazy. We will see momentarily.
So chat, MaxPax sees a ramp into the natural. MaxPax opens 1-gate fast expand. MaxPax doesn't see a ramp coming into the natural, and he still goes 1-gate fast expand. So I need to correct that in the chat, that even if there is no ramp, that doesn't stop MaxPax from going for greedy builds. He's just that kind of player. We'll see if herO can punish. What I should emphasize is, because of the ramp, it should be easier for MaxPax to defend, but we'll see if he can still pull this off as the robot is thrown down.
What he sees, he might go for one or the other first. We're like going against the Stargate, which is the most common response.
Very nice response here.
Player going 1-gate.
MaxPax, he does probe scout, he does confirm that a pylon is missing, he does go for his robot on the high ground. So far, these are all the correct decisions. Sure, MaxPax doesn't. Oh, no, it is.
Very on point with his scouting, and hilariously enough,
I was gonna say he doesn't know for certain that it is going to be a 1-base all-in, so he's blindly being defensive, but he does confirm.
Doing all of the studying up of the map to realize that is actually envisioned, but I guess MaxPax gets a nice easy scout there.
Yeah, the cards are kind of on the table at this point. Both players knows what the other is doing. herO also sent a probe in. He did see the Stargate. Shield batteries are now coming down as MaxPax starts to prepare his defense. Here come the first two Stalkers. They poke the natural here. They do see it's a Stalker coming out, and they're just going to try and poke away at that.
Oh, wait, am I blind? Did he start a robo, then cancel, then go for the Stargate? I swear he had a robo response, right? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Did we not see the robo thrown down?
And it looks like MaxPax has a probe on the other side.
I could be crazy. Maybe we panned over like herO's proxy, and I just assumed it was MaxPax's robo. But I thought I saw defensive robo.
Going to help solidify that. So here's the
Guys, hero dives into the main.
Talking about getting into the main base away from the shield battery makes it much more easy for herO to deal some damage. But luckily, MaxPax, well in preparation, puts that second
battery's in the main. He's ready. He's set up.
So it still gives an anchoring point for this Void Ray.
Yeah, and the Void Ray is kind of the linchpin of the defense here. If you've got Void Rays alive, you always have a chance. If they fall, though, things could get dicey quickly.
Got crazy, but I think we did see robo thrown down. Okay.
Not, amazing, but a nice little pick off there, putting the Adept to use. And he's going to try and use this angle on the side of the main base here. There is a probe spot in that, though. Very nice attention to detail from MaxPax.
It's good to know.
His units come over now, start to engage, even pulling some probes as well, just to tank some of the damage here. He doesn't need to get any further ahead.
Oh, no, the Stalkers! Oh, my God.
Nice pick up there on the one Stalker, but one fall in there.
Yeah, a bit sloppy from herO, to be honest. We expect him to be able to save every single one of these Stalkers with the micro that he is absolutely capable of doing. So
yeah, here he lost one Stalker. Oh, it's just terrible micro.
Unnecessarily.
But he did sustain a little losses, and oh, second Stalker goes down.
Doesn't actually get the shield battery, the other one healing it, and he loses a Stalker again in that trade. MaxPax so far with an immaculate hold.
Yeah, this is looking really good. Immortals now joining.
Again, as a reminder, as time goes on, we're building up more shield batteries and more Void Rays. It's becoming an easier defense for MaxPax.
Good point to focus down and try to break. But every time he comes up into the main, MaxPax is so quick to pull those probes, just add some more, add a meat shield for his units to be behind while they tank down. Where is that Morgan? Just going to station outside the natural here as he continues to poke.
Yeah, the problem is that the Void Ray count just keeps increasing.
Oh, you can get the battery.
Immortal getting sectioned off to the left just to try and DPS down this battery. Of course, dealing extra to armored buildings will help versus that. But these Void Rays, once they get in high enough number, you can see they can just burst down units extremely quickly.
So Max actually does activate all three prismatic alignments at the same time. That is a bit of a misstep here out of MaxPax. That's a little bit dangerous. Now there's going to be a win-win time where he will have prismatic alignment.
There's a decent amount of Stalkers at this point. With the no battery in the wall,
going in.
It does mean that once these force fields are gone, herO might have an opportunity to get underneath the Void Rays, but the
nice force fields, buying time. No more sentries there.
From MaxPax, and it's been very.
He has one more force field.
Yeah, he's targeting down that Cybercut, not going to be able to get it. Forced to move back if he got that. That could be a big pick off. Another Void Ray in production, and like you say, once they reach a critical mass,
prismatic alignment should be off full cooldown soon.
But this is so many Stalkers from herO now. Starting to get a bit scary here. Nice pick up on that Stalker.
Ooh, this is one. The Immortal almost goes down. Jesus.
Yeah, we'll be able to save a few of those Immortals extremely low, so much better micro overall from herO to keep most of these units alive, but still bleeding out a unit here and there. It does kill the Cybercore, which is nice, so he will know that there's not really going to be much more on the ground, just going to be a couple of Zealots, if anything. And I do like this addition of the Adepts as well now to split up the attention, make it more difficult for MaxPax to defend. Having the Adepts
gets into the middle line.
Base, try to kill
no target finding, though.
While the rest of the army then tries to poke at the front once he has the opportunity to do so. Actually, he's just kind of sitting here now, too.
Killing a lot of probes.
Baiting MaxPax into not sending anything else in the main, so that way the Adepts actually still get some pretty good damage. I feel like this is starting to go better for herO just because he's not really losing any units.
Yeah, and he gets another gateway there as well. One more Void Ray on the way.
Yeah, the natural's becoming a little bit more open. These Adepts, they wreak havoc. 7 more probes going down.
But he's got to keep that lead if he wants to keep outmining herO on the 2 bases. One more Void Ray now.
Prismatic alignments. And once again, he did activate all 4.
He's actually going to block the natural.
So all 5 even. That's a lot of Void Rays.
To expand, but I don't think herO has any intention of doing that. As he
I think he has 1 prismatic alignment. Oh no, sorry, he had 3. Okay. He staggered them. Let's go.
Sentry all alone at the front there.
Yeah, that's actually really big, because that adds so much energy, and the force fields are really the only thing keeping MaxPax alive in these engagements, because it doesn't allow herO to just run up underneath the Void Rays. You can see every time there's only one
batteries, so the Stargate's going to go down. He gets it.
Force fields getting
no more Stargate. 6 Void Rays.
Blocking everything and just kind of pushing the Stalkers to the side. Finally getting that Stargate is herO. So now there's going to be extremely limited, if any, production from MaxPax, and so this is now an
MaxPax has what, 1 gateway?
To really start to swing things as the wall is
committing.
open, so you can see he tries to get
out
of the Void Ray, but doesn't quite get the first
he gets
one. Will get it with the second volley, and then
5 Void Rays left.
Yeah, brilliant pressure here from herO, just picking off whatever he can, rinse and repeating, letting his shields replenish. He doesn't have shield battery, obviously, on the defense. Gonna push in now, gets 1 sentry already. Good force fields by MaxPax, though. Cuts that army in half. Forced to retreat once again is herO.
As they try to emphasize, these force fields are crucial. Without them, I mean, again, MaxPax, he would be dead.
So many Stalkers now, and the force field numbers are starting to thin out here. And he has no more Stargate, like you said, so he
Miscontrol out
can't
of hero.
make any more Void Rays, which is what you need. Here comes some more Adepts to shade into the main.
Yep, one more shade gonna come on through, gonna make it more difficult for MaxPax to respond. He's got to split up his units accordingly. The force fields
Sentries going down.
Dry. Still having one extra one though, that's actually huge. I don't think herO realized that extra sentry was gonna have that force field, so tried to go deep, but then gets sectioned off and will have to run back again. MaxPax is doing so good at just throwing out these force fields one at a time, making it so difficult for herO to just go for that big punishing move. Looks like he might finally try to go for it, but still another
gets
force
punished.
field denying the movement. Going for the pylon is the next best play.
And always just one or two force fields. He's got him.
Batteries as possible. Tries to get onto some of these void rays, but is misclicking.
herO running out of patience.
A couple of sentries instead of the pylon or the void ray. That engagement went really badly for herO, I think.
Yeah, and I think he might only have one more shove here. It looks like MaxPax is starting to get so many more units out. He remade the gateway. Force field goes down. herO forced to retreat again and loses another unit. Even got some Adepts in the main. That's what the
MaxPax,
pylon was
he got
for.
across the map.
Here they come, and hero's nothing at home to defend here. He's gonna have
That's
to walk
game,
home.
yeah,
It doesn't even
GG,
bother.
GG.
MaxPax takes game number 1 with an excellent defense of his 1-gate expand.
Yeah, that was great for MaxPax. Just the patience to be able to continually warp in sentries, just keep backing up, throwing one or two force fields down every single time. Sure, you don't get the full block like you normally would
GG.
expect.
GG well played. I appreciate that Gemini is focusing. And again, I feel like whenever we go to PvP or any Protoss matchup like Gemini, he's usually locked in. But I appreciate the emphasis that he's putting on the sentries there, because again, it was like the sentries were the MVPs. Time and time again, there was always like at least one force field available, so he was able to choke up, if not punish herO every time he tried to dive in. herO did a great job at gaining ground and pushing to the natural, but despite knocking down the gateways and the Stargate and the Cyber Core, he couldn't really collapse on those Void Rays. Like MaxPax did some really nice Sim City there with those shield batteries and with the force fields as well. GG. GG, well played. Did hold on.
And just throw the game. Like if your Void Rays attack move a little bit too far forward,
now I did miss the vetoes. The vetoes are going to be quite crucial when it comes to how defendable some of these bases are going to be. Again, bearing in mind that MaxPax is known for his greed in PvP, and there are certain maps that are a little bit stronger to defend. We did speak on it, but Necropolis, because of the ramp, it is a stronger defense on that map. It was impressive just how hard herO was able to push in and how much damage he got done, despite the defensive nature of Necropolis. But we'll see if we have other maps in the upcoming series that also have a defendable natural base.
Many centuries as he was. It was actually kind of ridiculous. But anyways, we're going to be heading on into our second map in just a moment here. 10,000 feet is going to be the next playground.
Okay, smaller map.
See if herO can find a comeback in this one. Let's get it on over to that game.
So it's going to be
That's funny. When it's herO, it
interesting.
kind of feels like a playground.
but it's going to be these smaller maps here where herO is going to be more favored. Again, smaller map in the map pool, shorter rush distance by ground, and no ramp coming into the natural. Because this, MaxPax should also be adapting, and we have seen MaxPax go for his own one-base all-ins before as well. Like, he can mix it up, but we should be going for a bit of a safer build this time. Still greedy, but there are safer variations of that.
Just on the high ground where he goes for that one gate and then gets the Stargate in the main base as well. Still does like to go for that as well, so I wouldn't be surprised.
So we have other new maps in the pool. Necropolis is the only new TLMC map in the map pool. The other two maps that they added are older TLMC maps. So they added Missing You Today, and they added, was it Dream and Scars? I think those are the two maps. Which is a little bit disappointing. Like, personally, I would have wanted fresh maps instead of older maps. But we at least got Necropolis, at least.
All ready for herO. The probes do a high 5. And yeah, we'll have to see what the builds are going to be. Like, I don't expect to see the 1-gate expand.
Technically, we can't blame RSL. I mean, we can. I don't think they should have been available for voting, but it was the patrons. It was the RSL patrons that voted on which maps to add. So they voted on the older ones.
And he will absolutely do it until the end of the days. I mean, if he has an opportunity, he's going to do it because he understands this matchup better than anyone.
But you could argue that RSL could have just not put them in the optional maps.
He knows how to react. He knows how to do any alteration that he needs to in basically any situation.
Okay, same open out of herO, going for the pylon.
How to maneuver these early game
meanwhile, we did mention this at the beginning of this series, how MaxPax doesn't matter if it isn't safe to go for a faster Nexus, he will go for it. And there it is, we do have the gate expand out of MaxPax into Cybercore. So a very greedy build out of MaxPax, but this time there is no ramp coming into the natural.
It's very, very difficult. So
I assumed that he was going to go for a Nexus after Stargate, but he goes Nexus before Cybercore.
Those adepts finally to send them into hero's base just to close out the game. And if we go back to game one, the proxy, like you said, was in a very easily scoutable location next to that watchtower. Not going to be the case in this game, so MaxPax won't have the very early read of exactly what is happening here. He is looking around now with the probe, double Stalker again, followed up by Stalker Sentry for herO. And MaxPax's probe is on the wrong side of the map this time.
Yeah, he's not going to get the actual confirmation of the scout, but I believe he should have seen the lack of a pylon in the main base if he was actually going for that scout. But still going for a double gate response as well. This hallucinated Phoenix. Wow.
Ooh, just scout
it. Wow, okay, so again, MaxPax just so aware, scouts the right-hand side with his probe and then sends the hallucination to the left, realizing there's got to be something on the map. Loses a probe since the battery is not quite ready, and the sentry also needed to get microed back for just a moment, but still very good micro.
So what's important about this kind of game instead is it's not going to be a Robo 1-base all-in, it's going to be a 3-gate 1-base all-in instead. This does hit faster because you're just amassing your Stalker, you're not waiting for a War Prism, you're not waiting for an Immortal either. So it is a faster, more aggressive build in a sense.
Oh,
he gets the sentry!
Actually,
Oh my god!
herO's a madman, actually going so far forward with that sentry. A little bit worried for it there. MaxPax will bring some probes now, but he's actually losing a couple. And finally, the shield batteries finish.
That is a lot of batteries as well. Ooh. So MaxPax is going to be feeling very secure with this many, batteries.
5 shield batteries
that he made. But until then, until they actually
start
to get the production ramped up,
gets 1 sentry, please out of Stalker, gets 2 sentries, 3. Ooh, he's one-shotting.
herO gets a nice couple of trades on the sentries. That's massive because you want to be able to deny those force fields as much as possible because that does dictate these engagements so heavily. It's going to be a.
And again, as you can see here, he's within 2-shot range. He can 2-shot Stalkers.
Of units coming on in. How can MaxPax defend this?
Yeah, no War Prism with this or anything like that, so he doesn't have to worry about the main. That's one good thing. But
the Autosis pylon.
Is he going to get his pylon?
Oh my god, G-Powers 2.
Doesn't quite supply block him, but just a little bit of spy left. Forced to pull the probes once more. herO looks like he might be gaining a big advantage in this game.
I thought for a second that was going to be an Autosis pylon, but on the right-hand side,
that was an extra pylon
with us in spirit. We'll be able to back up those batteries right there. The micro potential here from herO is still so large because he's got such a big area on the left-hand side. He can always go in and out. He can always attack the Nexus if he wants, attack some of the probes, and then go into the shield batteries and the units. He has the real estate to go for these moves, and it's on MaxPax to kind of try to like bait him into the right position. Hopefully he gets a force field in the right.
There's only 1 shield battery with energy left. But I believe there should be an energy overcharge.
Go a little bit deep. 1 force field, not
there
enough
gets
to block
1,
as many
gets
units
2,
as possible.
gets 3.
So he will get a couple of nice one-shots onto these Stalkers, and he's not losing too much himself. So he will start to try and swing this to his favor. But will this actually be enough? Because MaxPax still has a decent amount of production.
herO bleeding out 2 Stalkers, bit of miscontrol at a herO.
He's still 6 ahead.
3 Stalkers.
With the eco as it is, as long as he survives. Here comes the next warp in though.
Yeah, rough control there from herO, bleeding out a lot of Stalkers. He's running out of steam.
Trying to save as many units for MaxPax. That 1 Stalker just living, but finally falls. And right now the Stalker numbers look almost even. Just a couple more for herO, and with the shield batteries. But here come the Adept shading into the main.
Yeah, it sounds like they missed it, but basically herO, he miscontrolled. He started stepped in, but he missed a volley. And he lost 2 Stalkers. Sorry, he missed 2 volleys even, and he lost 2 Stalkers as a result of that. And I believe herO's running out of steam.
And a lot of these batteries are actually very low on energy right now. They're not able to heal very much. So even though herO doesn't have the one-shot potential with all of his units, he's still kind of DPSing some of them down. A Zealot being used to start
trying to keep this going. It's still very close.
Against that as well. This is so this is just so down to the wire. This micro is absolutely ridiculous from both players. I don't even know who's going to win at this point, but I feel like MaxPax is starting to get a nice swing, especially with that probe surround on the left.
Sick probe surround says no escape for these Stalkers, and they are probably all going to fall here unless herO can get them out somehow. 1 remaining, that one.
Yeah, herO's down in economy, he's down in momentum. GG gets called, and MaxPax is up 2-0.
Jeez, man, he is just so good at these early game micro interactions.
Yeah.
He just knows exactly what he needs every single time. That response was a different one as well. He didn't go for the Stargate that time at all. Just going for the pure gateway response to the 4-gate and just getting barely enough units. Just having a massive amount of batteries. Like,
Yeah, kind of. Like, I would still put a lot of that on herO. Again, like, herO, he was overwhelming, he was killing Stalkers, and then he had a really weird moment. I want to say what happened was that herO, he had targeted a Stalker that was too far back, so his Stalkers moved too far forward, and because of that, he took 2 volleys without firing at all. That's why I said that it looked like he, like, miscontrolled and he kind of missed a volley. He did in a sense, but it looks like he targeted a Stalker that was just too far back, his army moved too far forward, and he took 2 massive volleys to the face, losing 2 Stalkers, and that kind of evened up the Stalker count. He was only up by like 3 or 4. There were like 2 or 3 moments like that where herO, he kind of mistargeted, miscontrolled, lost 1 extra Stalker, and in that kind of moment, when you have Stalker versus Stalker, it's crucial that you maintain your lead, and he didn't. GG. GG, well played with that MaxPax. He's up 2-0. He is 1 game away from claiming the series. We'll see if herO can lock in. We'll see if we can tighten things up as we get into game number 3. We'll see. Once again, this might be a shorter broadcast day. We did assume that to be the case. Typically, TVTs and PvPs are quite short, but we'll see. We'll see how the matchup turns out. Hopefully, we get a back and forth. Hopefully, we get a game 3, 4, and 5. For now, though, we're going to be going to a short break, and when we come back, we'll have game 3. See you soon. See you soon.
We'll be back with this series after.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that lovely Brutal OST as we returned. We returned here with the second half of the series, or potentially the end of the series. We are partially way through. We're here. We're back with the RSL Season 4 2026 RSL Playoffs, day number 2. We are mid-series with herO versus MaxPax. MaxPax is up 2-0. So far, it's been a similar tale, with MaxPax going for hyper-greedy builds and herO failing to all in, but barely failing to all in. I will say that here in game 2, herO, he had a lot of momentum, but he did have some miscontrol and did bleed out one too many stalkers. He let out like 3 or 4 stalkers, while he got a little bit, what seems to be maybe impatient, or again, just maybe some, some lapse in judgment towards the end of that game where he did lose momentum and lost control. Similar story in game number 1 where he was maybe being overly aggressive and bleeding out too much, pushing into too many sentries and being cut up by force fields. So very clean defense by MaxPax in both games, and we'll see if we have another similar tale here in game 3. Let's go.
herO spawning down in the bottom left is the blue Protoss, MaxPax the red Protoss in the top right, and thrown to the dune, a little bit of a larger map that we have here in the pool. Not a high ground natural expansion like map number 1, but I still think MaxPax can make it work.
Yeah, longer rush distance.
Yeah, man. I
winding it back. So welcome to Throne of the Dunes. This is the Diablo 2 map, or I called it the Diablo 2 map when judging it, just because it has, the sandy dunes. It's got like some cities in the background as well. It does remind me a lot of D2, and I guess Diablo in general, because I think all Diablo games kind of had that kind of like sandy area that they would kind of traverse to regardless. There's a lot of like fire pits and stuff like that. So yeah, I appreciate the aesthetic. I want to say my biggest criticisms for this map was how defendable it would be on a 4 and 5 base setup. This map was featured last season in TLMC. As I mentioned previously, this is a custom map pool for this tournament, but it does feature some of the older TLMC maps. I mean, potentially these maps might be resubmitted for this season of TLMC. It's possible. I guess we'll find out.
So many different things that these players have tried to do to bust MaxPax. We've seen like proxy Twilight Blink all-ins. We've seen proxy Robo Adept drop into like a 4-gate. Just so many crazy things. So let's see what it is this time.
Yeah, one approach that herO has been doing quite often in PvP is making the build look like it is going to be an all-in, and then as the opponent, MaxPax in this case, will perhaps overreact by throwing down shield batteries. If they go for a forge, throwing down cannons, cutting probe production, focusing on the defense. herO just probes up and expands back at home, but we haven't really seen that from him so far in this series. Have to wait and see what the choice will be from herO as that Cybernetics Court finishes up.
Yeah, I would agree with State here in that one of the biggest strengths that herO has is being unpredictable, is one base all-inning or faking one base all-ins, and MaxPax often does fall for it. Here, MaxPax going for his low ground Nexus. That is a Nexus after the Cybercore this time.
From MaxPax there, and it looks like herO might be either expanding or trying to fake that he's expanding by putting this low ground pylon here and keeping the probe at the natural.
Okay, Stargate.
We'll be going for a Stargate with the double Adept, so another new look for herO. Will get scouted from the Hallucinated Phoenix by MaxPax though, so that's not going to stay a secret for very long. We'll see if herO's actually going to expand with this or not. It looks like he is kind of queuing up to still play this a little bit more macro.
Yeah, as they're kind of alluding to, but I wish they had a little bit more conviction in their words. herO is playing macro. He's going for a faster Stargate for harass, but he does intend to expand.
Base here for MaxPax. Usually in PvP, to block the shades, you're going to keep a probe there. You're going to throw down a shield battery. The Oracle could just power right on through that and allow those 4 Adepts to get into the main base. So we'll see. That's going to be the choice here by herO. MaxPax on his side of the map is going into a Stargate himself defensively. It's his most standard option, so herO's probably going to be expecting this. I don't know whether herO's going to commit to a Phoenix versus Phoenix war. I know MaxPax would love to get into a Phoenix versus Phoenix game. No, already we see a Twilight Council here for herO. And let's see if we can get done with these Adepts.
Yeah, he's got to be very careful, though. Doesn't want to get caught by any force fields and just lose them for free. Sentries are deceivingly good against Adepts with that bonus versus shields they got a few patches ago. We'll just go in with the Adepts to continually shade and just kind of threaten if you're going to go for that. It's just an overall nice move to just make sure that the opponent is always...
Yeah, since MaxPax got out of this, his response here is Stargate into Phoenixes, so we do have a Phoenix set up here by MaxPax. He should be okay. Adepts, they do commit to shade. They attack the shield battery, though.
Targets and hits the battery as his first volley, and then just gets stuck. And then surrounded as well by the probes. This has been a terrible move from herO so far.
Yeah, and then the second hit was on the sentries. Two of these Adepts are going to survive, but Trading basically 3 adepts for just 2 probes right there is not a good feeling. With the shield battery in the main base, he's just going to throw down kind of a spiteful stasis ward.
And then he
thinks better of it, yeah. I was going to say, maybe he doesn't have the energy back at home with that natural expansion now finished up, likely chrono boosting probes, but no, he does have the energy to recall the Oracle, and MaxPax is going to make 1 or 2 more Phoenix at least here, as hero's already transitioning into Blink.
It's a little bit nitpicky, but fun fact, herO, he misplaces pylon on the low ground, and he has inefficient mining as well. It's a rough start for herO. It's rough.
Incredible amount of workers, because he's of course had the faster Nexus. He denied the harassment very well. The Oracle not able to really do anything. The early Adepts getting killed off. The only thing that's not in his favor, of course, is the Blink upgrade. He had gone for the Phoenixes continuously because he didn't know exactly if herO was going to commit to the Phoenix war or not after the initial Oracle. So he had to make a few of those, and then he goes into the Robo and Twilight afterwards. So there will be a timing that herO does have with Blink, and he will overall have map control with this faster Blink Stalker.
Yeah, he may just go for an all-in.
He does want to keep the aggression up. He doesn't want to let those Phoenixes run across the map and just kill a pro.
I believe hero's getting a 3rd gateway back at home, and this might be a 4th gateway for a 2-base 4-gate all-in. We might even afford like a 5th and 6th.
Doing in front of MaxPax's natural expansion, also setting up a proxy pylon here. Maybe even an extra gateway will be coming down here for herO. Is one of the ways that he likes to play against MaxPax.
Yep, there it
in
is.
This style is. It's not necessarily a 1-base build,
gets
but
scouted.
eventually it starts to kind of feel like one when he just warps in nothing but stalkers on the front line with Blink and just relentlessly dives on the static defense on the Immortals. If there's Void Rays, he'll dive on the Void Rays. And actually, look at this. Probe set up for a 3rd base, and MaxPax going for DTs.
Oh, wow. That's actually pretty cool. I like that.
Oof.
If that does get
There's
up,
no defensive
that is going
Robo.
to be basically a game ender, as there's only 1 Oracle on the map, so it's going to be very difficult to get detection in all of the bases and at the front in the actual engagement. That Adept could have gone deep to scout, but unfortunately does not get it. There's some units blinking forward at the natural, will actually just blink out, as they did get force fielded away. The Mortal there as well on the defensive, so it's not like herO can just kind of YOLO on in. He needs to be very careful. If he wants to target anything, he's going to have to go for that Immortal eventually as well to deny any extra DPS. But a 2nd one also already out, needs to go into the main base.
Yeah, herO going to blink right on into the main base now.
Going
MaxPax
for the
is right on
Cybercore.
this ramp. The Phoenix are going to try and disable as many of these stalkers as they can, but then they think better of it.
Oh.
herO, blink is off cooldown.
Looks like he
2 of
saw
those
it.
stalkers, a little bit of a stray movement there. Did not blink down. herO
Does he know
notably
though?
did spot the Dark Shrine at the top.
I don't think he clicked on it.
But I'm not sure if he
I
actually
feel like he
noticed it, because yeah, the glimmer of the Dark Shrine is a little bit different from the glimmer of a pylon, but I think with herO, he's focused more on the micro right now.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
Just on the range of his vision, and that's just one of those. The way that it's building right there too, it just looks like it's an extra pylon. Like you're not putting as much.
That's a late robo out of herO.
I feel like he's gonna get the robo anyways, just because you kind of need it anyways at this point in the game. So we'll see if he actually does go a little bit higher to get the full confirmation on the Dark Shrine.
No.
Still losing a couple stalkers
He's
here and
zoned
there
away.
though, with these blink ups in the main. So
DTs are coming.
Not the greatest trading overall by herO, and he's losing a few probes on the back end as well. We'll see what he wants to do with that robo, if he gets an observer right away, or if he's going to just get a couple defensive Immortals and whatnot. It's kind of a like a 50-50 at this point, and even a blink forward from MaxPax as he wants to dislodge his position.
Yeah, he's got a Warp Prism too, so he can use that to micro these injured stalkers back. They're going to try and get the best trade he possibly can here before blinking back to safety. I think we have 1 DT on the map. No, 2 DTs actually. Moving closer and closer to herO's base. Still no observer here for herO. He's going for the Immortal.
Yeah.
We have 1 Oracle, and that is the only
As we mentioned, like, he didn't notice the Dark Shrine despite seeing it, so DT's waddling in, and this should end the game.
It's in the bottom right side of the map, so these DTs are going to head into the main base, head into the natural expansion. I'm not sure if herO's going to be able to survive this. It's a lot of probes that are going to go down.
Oh, and he even cancels the Immortal at like 90% as well, just out of panic, needing something to detect. This is going from bad to worse for herO right now. All of the DTs are in basically
Invisible
every
Man,
single
it's
mineral
too
line. They're
good.
just nuking
It's
these
too
probe lines.
good.
And MaxPax, he's going to posture with his army, but he can honestly just go home. He doesn't need to actually push this at all. He could just kind of chill, just wait a little bit for the opportune moment. But this probe damage so far has been absolutely detrimental to herO's economy.
I mean, that's like a third of his probes already getting taken down. 18 in total, and now MaxPax's going to blink aggressively here in the natural expansion, catching herO slightly out of position.
Fun fact, MaxPax doesn't have to commit here. He doesn't even need to, but I mean, he's just going for the kill, going for the throats. He could just back off and macro and just outproduce.
This is definitely an overextension from MaxPax. Those charge slots actually doing really well against an only Stalker and Immortal army. He also didn't have Blink in that engagement since he did forward Blink, and he was just kind of put into a big concave. So A nice little defense so far from herO in that regard, but his economy still is in shambles. Luckily for him, the third base has only just now gotten kick-started by MaxPax, so he will need some time to recuperate, and he's even losing a few probes to that random Oracle. So that will actually help a tiny bit, but it's still, you need to do much more as herO to actually find your way back into this game.
Yeah, there's one of those things where the soup does lie, where MaxPax is only up 10 supply compared to herO, but what matters here is the economy. Because of MaxPax's stronger economy, he will be able to build up a large army faster.
So about a minute-plus lead here for the red Protoss player, and
of course,
MaxPax,
upgrades,
he's not done yet.
tech.
He's gonna be heading into the main base with the Warp Prism, trying to find some more damage. Another DT will get caught here at the natural expansion. Let's see how many more probes are going to go down. So far, quick reactions by herO.
Yeah, the one Stalker getting morphed in, but there's actually there's no detection. So the DT can just kind of go. We'll try to blink to block it a little bit as he waits for an observer to come on in. So we'll kill that off, thankfully. Big Zealot run by on the top side of the map.
Nice Zealot counterattack.
This fourth base, so it does deny that for now.
MaxPax out of position.
To negate any extra economic lead that he could possibly get, as herO did kind of catch up in the probe count. But obviously, MaxPax has gotten the benefits from that faster economy already, not having lost so many workers. So it's still going to be in a pretty equal state economically for now. The problem for herO, of course, is that he still has to continually think about these DTs getting warped in everywhere. We'll actually have to recall these Zealots at the top as well to make sure those don't get wasted. I wonder what the play overall for herO is. It feels like he's going to just try to make it as
I mean, herO is recovering. Like, he already denied the fourth base once. He might do it again.
To get back
like, once again, MaxPax out of position.
Every herO game ever. Just make things as chaotic as possible.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think him just playing whack-a-mole right now with a fourth base, the prospective fourth base of MaxPax, is doing good work because it has slowed down the momentum of MaxPax's economy relative to herO's economy. He's going to do it again. He's going to cancel another Nexus here at the 12 o'clock position. And this means that things are basically evened up on the worker counts. MaxPax did have that advantage
he doesn't
for
cancel.
a little while here, which means
herO, he was late to react.
Like a dozen or so more army supply, but the game is definitely shaping up to be a lot closer than you might expect, given the damage that MaxPax got done with the DTs just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, his army definitely is big, and he does have his +2 advantage for now. Actually, the +2 just
It's one of those things where these are nice news that hero's still behind, right? Like, let's not kid ourselves. Like, he's still in a really rough position. He still has to recover. MaxPax is pushing, and now we have no more aggression across the map. MaxPax, he can focus on the main fight. He can focus on it.
Well, could just get a couple extra Zealots in there, too. Forces a lot of the units from herO to respawn in the main base, and then he can just pounce on this forward fourth base location, and he's doing a great job of that. We'll be able to kill off a lot of these units. The charge slots on the right-hand
they get on
side
top of the Immortal
are
there.
helping a lot, though, for herO, but unfortunately, it seemed like not enough because these units in the main base didn't actually get killed off, and the stuff on the right is still
all good
alive
engage
from
out of MaxPax.
pressuring as well.
Yeah, and the Phoenix here in front of the fourth base sniped the only observer that herO had in that
the
engagement,
DT.
so he had to wait for the next one to pop to actually be able to clean up
DTs in the
these
main.
DTs here in the main base. It's why this was
The
such
Zealots
a
as
problem
well,
for
they
him in
wreak
the
havoc.
first place.
Departing some of the
MaxPax
pylons.
just being unrelenting with this pressure.
And
Once
herO
again,
can't
hitting
keep
the
up.
fourth base as herO goes to defend the main for the Warp Prism drop. Warp Prism still alive. Actually, I just now saw that. I thought surely herO was able to clean that thing up, but no, he's going to lose the fourth Nexus at 12 o'clock. MaxPax now has his fourth expansion getting saturated, and herO maybe... I'm not sure if he's going to be able to come back from this one, man. It's looking a little rough.
Yeah, the army supply lead is definitely still in MaxPax's favor as well. It's not even like MaxPax suicided a lot to be able to get that damage, and then there's a moment where herO can maybe swing it across with a larger army supply and then kind of catch MaxPax as he's recouping. MaxPax has already recouped. He's totally fine back at home. He's got his 4 bases set up. He's still got a decently sized army and his +3 finished as well. So he's going to have a lead in the upgrades as well. Just needs to make sure all of his units are together, because this is only half his army right now. The rest of the units do blink on in from the third base, and I think that's going to be enough to be able to defend.
Yeah, since you're going to try and retreat, herO just does not have enough here at the front. Man, there's so many stalkers here for MaxPax. Almost 20 army supply up right now over herO as he's going to be retreating. Distance mining from the fourth base is herO, but a TT is there to harass that as well. Link forward, GG is called, and MaxPax is going to sweep this series 3-0. With some really clean PvP play.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting MaxPax to come swinging so hard.
GG, well played. MaxPax does claim the series. I mean, just quickly going over it here. Again, game 1 and game 2, herO, he attempted to one-base all in. He failed to do so. Again, did look like some critical moments where herO did miscontrol and did slip up when it came to his micro, and MaxPax was able to capitalize and just overwhelm. Coming into the final game here, we had a bit of a more back and forth and a bit of a chaotic setup there. But for the most part, MaxPax, he was able to get away with his greedier economic build. We saw the early Adept harass was shut down quite quickly. The Oracle did not pay for itself. It was a very shaky start here in Game 3 for herO, and because the advantages that MaxPax had, it led into a faster third, better saturation, and of course the better tech leading into Dark Templar. DTs, they did do critical damage. Yes, herO survived, and the game went on for another what, 5, 6, 7 minutes, but the reality is that he sustained critical damage and he didn't quite recover. He had some nice moments when it came to denying the 4th base. He did it twice, I want to say. Yeah, twice he was able to deny the 4th, but that still was not enough. It was nice, and he was slowly closing that gap, but never quite got there. GG. GG, well played. With that, MaxPax does claim the 3-0, and MaxPax will advance on into the upper bracket quarterfinals. With that, we have one series left tonight. We're going to be jumping into a best of 5 between Trigger and Rogue. That's going to be up next in the next series. That'll be after the break. Oh. Just catching up with the chat. Catching up. Diablo 1 didn't have Desert, that's why it's the best. Unironically, I think I played more D1 than any other Diablo game. Played a lot of Diablo 1. Hi. Not necessarily because it was the best one, but just because that's what we had. I actually didn't play Diablo 2 until recently. Fun fact. For whatever reason, that was the one game that we skipped over. Right? Like I played a lot of Brood War, a lot of Diablo 1, a lot of Warcraft 3, Age of Empires 1. But it was Diablo 2 and AoE 2 that I did not play at all until recent times, like until very, very recently. But it's all good. It's all good. GG well played. With that, again, we're going to come to a break. We'll be back soon with the next series with our next match. Fresh meat gave me kid and nightmares. Oh no.
Hey guys, last week we finally got around.
Yo, Ziggy, let's build that Zeratul miniature. Take it away.
Studio from the StarCraft Tabletop Miniatures game that is now live for pre-orders, and I think it's time for us to try and put it together. What's inside the box is this plastic sprue containing all the parts that you need to assemble. We've got the pamphlet that contains all of the instructions guiding you through the process, and we've got our trusty tools. We've got a little cutter to get the parts out of the sprue, a hobby knife to clean up any casting lines, and of course we've got glue. So let's take a look at what it takes to put together this Zeratul miniature. We're going to open up our trusty little pamphlet.
Where is the paint?
And as you can see,
where is the paint?
Very hopefully, this entire process comprises
paint it up, Pappy. Paint it up.
Steps. So let's try and go through this process together. Arkan Studio really make it easy with the instructions included in the box. If you're a newcomer, this really is a great starting point for getting into tabletop miniatures games. What really makes tabletop miniatures games special is the fact that you can really make them your own. They don't have to look exactly as they are on the box set. If you want your Marines to be wearing orange armor, go ahead. I gotta tell you a story on a personal note. Before I got into StarCraft, I was actually big into miniature games. I used to go down to my local wargaming store and I would buy them and put them together and paint them and play with them and go to tournaments. And at my local gaming store, I actually had a group of friends. One day they asked me if I wanted to play StarCraft with them. And that's when my journey with StarCraft really started when I was a kid. So after all these years, actually getting to put a StarCraft miniature together, it really hits different. Boom. I think that's it. I think that works. Guys, the very first StarCraft Tabletop Miniatures game figurine that we got sent by Arkan Studio is now assembled, and you can get your hands on one of these very soon. If you go to starcraft-tmg.com, you can check out the pre-orders that are live for the StarCraft Tabletop Miniatures game and get your own.
I'm gonna give a quick little advice to those that are getting into miniatures, and specifically for that Zeratul miniature, looking at especially the cape section. I would advise, if you do plan on painting it, to paint it pre-assembly, or at least partially assembled. Depending on the miniature, like you can just like try to go to town and try to like picture it in your mind and try to paint all of the individual pieces individually. I think usually it's advised to partially assemble, so like you can assemble like parts of it, then paint it, and then put it all together. I think if you paint it all completely, it might mess up with some of the glue as well, because you're adding like an extra layer of paint in between pieces, and that might affect the glue, and it might even affect like some of the look and visual look as well. But especially when it comes to how delicate the cape looks, yeah, it's be careful, Pappy, be careful. Otherwise, we're gonna be coming to a break. Cutting to a break. We'll see you guys in a couple of minutes with the rest of the broadcast with the next series with a Trigger versus Rogue. See you soon. See you soon after the break. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to the RSL, the RSL Season 4 Playoffs, day number 2 in 2026. We're here. We are back. We just wrapped up with MaxPax vs herO. It was a very fast series, really fast series. As to be expected in a PvP between those two players. But now we're jumping into a PvZ. We're hoping for a longer back and forth. We're hoping to sink our teeth into a bit of a deeper series here. I would hope to get, you know, a game 4, game 5, or I would hope to just get into the mid game. I'm a little bit concerned just because Rogue is known to be hyper aggressive currently in this matchup. We've seen a lot of cheese out of Rogue. This is going to be a rematch. I believe Rogue and Trigger did play. Was it in Lily Cup? Quickly double checking here as we do have our vetoes. We have our map order. Shout out to Trigger and Rogue for having their cams on, of course. Quickly checking Lily Cup. Yes, Rogue did take down Trigger 3-1 in Lily Cup. Trigger was playing standard every game, and every game Rogue cheesed the hell out of him. It was just hyper aggressive, hyper all-ins out of Rogue time and time again. We'll see if Trigger can keep up with that after that previous best of 5 series that was now a month ago.
I actually don't know what the purpose of this machine is, but they're very popular in Korea.
It's a blood circulation thing, I think. I've done it once, and I did it on like the public gym equipment that we have in parks.
Yeah, they're all
and
around,
it felt
right?
like the entire thing was going to fall apart. It's like,
do I want to feel really dizzy for the next 5 minutes and maybe fall over a few times?
Man, I'm like,
jump on this thing.
I'm like 12 inches off the ground here. Like if I slip onto the hard pavement, it's lights out for me.
It's not a beginner move to just jump on that thing either. It's quite unsettling, but never mind that. We are jumping into game number 1. It's going to be Rogue versus Trigger. And Rogue kind of has his own take on the matchup recently, like not playing standard macro games, throwing in a bunch of time-ins, even going for that crazy spine crawler cheese with the proxy base. So I'm excited to see what he's got in store for, and I feel like he's going to be the one taking the fight to Trigger potentially.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And Trigger kind of doing his, you know, cookie cutter.
I appreciate that Sturgeon's in the know. I would imagine that maybe Rogue went for a bunch of all-ins previously in this tournament, but that's kind of what we're expecting out of Rogue.
That's about 10 seconds faster than you usually see it, but Trigger is doing the greediest opening known to man. It's gas first, no scout. So if there's anything like a 12 pool, you are dead outright. And Trigger's also one of these Protoss players, or one of these pro players in general, who's going to be mineral boosting the entire time in the main base. Usually it's those guys in the middle. Yeah, you see it right there. He's shift-clicking on these probes. As if you watch a probe on the sides, when they go to the mineral patch, they naturally decelerate and then accelerate again as they return. But if you shift-click right next to it, they stay full speed until they stop. It's a very common tactic, but Trigger just min-maxing this as hard as possible. When you go gas first as well, you're able to slowly saturate that, but you saturate it very early while you keep 16 probes on minerals. You're able to get that Nexus very quickly. Also, one more worker. Mining because
it's one of those things where he is going for a greedier opener, that is true, but at the same time I would also emphasize the fact that this is a larger map, longer rush distance by ground. Early game aggression, early game all-ins are weaker on this map, so I would say like it's like a safe decision to make here from Trigger. Yes, on the one hand you have Rogue who's hyper aggressive and hyper all-in, but that's mainly off of 2 and 3 bases, not off of 1 base.
I think you get your hat trick a few seconds earlier as Zerg as well. And yeah, we do see the Stargate now.
Yeah, a little bit later than I thought it would, but Trigger decided to go for the Adept first this time instead. In any case, we'll see what he's able to get done. This time going for the Chrono Boost on the Adept, so not as ludicrously greedy as you might expect it to be. He is going to want to have some presence on the map. I've seen Trigger play games recently where he will start that Adept and he won't even Chrono Boost it. He'll just Chrono Boost both Nexus as soon as the natural expansion's done. But now a little bit more middle of the road here for Trigger.
Yeah, Rogue making a few Zerglings at home just to be able to greet this Adept. As it finishes up its shade, he has a queen at the front as well. You don't want to let that Adept get past without using its shade. Confirms the third base here, Trigger does, and then we'll shade into the main. Check there's not an insane amount of units popping or anything like that. All looks rather normal. We'll wait for that second Adept to come across the map here, join up with his buddy, and then he will have some aggressive potential if he so chooses.
Yeah, more importantly, Rogue did pull out a gas, so there's no early Roach Rush, no fast Lair, and there's no fast Baneling Nest either. So it looks like a standard follow-up here out of Rogue. He's making extra lings, Adepts take him into the shade, they can one-shot drones, and so far Rogue does react well.
Evacuation from the natural expansion, and he should be able to shade out with at least one of these Adepts alive, and I know he only got one drone, but honestly, I think it's kind of worth trading for one Adept. That's a lot of lost mining time.
Yeah, the Oracle will come and join up with this Adept, so the Lings, even though they can catch up to it, I don't think they should be able to kill it. And the Lings are actually stuck behind the Queen in that engagement. It's a little bit awkward. I feel like maybe that Adept could have fallen too, but only one drone, as you say. Not the best trade there. The third base on the way now for Trigger. Not the very fastest possible third, but still relatively quick here. And we have some Spore Crawlers as well to deal with these Oracles.
Ooh, early Twilight Council.
Shading right now, making it hard for those Zerglings to really engage and get
that Twilight Council is earlier than normal, so that could be early Blink or early Glaives.
Been a drone cancel there for herO.
No Forge.
Allowing it to finish. I like
Trigger.
this move by Trigger, just parking the
Late
Oracle.
okay, late Forge, so it looks like it's going to be early Blink.
Oh man, he's able to get the Spore Crawler. The Queens are there in time. If
the other option is early Charge. I don't know if Triggers really want to embrace that.
That could have taken out the Spawn Crawler, but Rogue just in the nick of time, able to connect the creep, get over there to the third base.
Yeah, and I like that you went for the Spore in the main and the natural, but not the third. You save a little bit of minerals, you bring your Queens over.
There it is, early
They're
Blink.
enough anti-air to, you know, be able to transfer your drones, make more out of that third base. One fall-in is unfortunate.
So because Blink is finishing up so quickly here, Trigger, this can go one of two ways. Typically it's very safe. It means that if Rogue was going for a 2 or 3 base all-in, Blink will be done in time to defend. On the flip side, Trigger might turn this on its head and be aggressive himself with an 8-gate setup.
Yeah, Trigger going up to I think 6 gateways now, with Blink and +1 ground weapons being researched, and
we're looking for 2 more gates.
Just going to confirm we have saturation here on the third base from Trigger, so no tricks coming his way, and I wonder where Rogue's going to go with this one. Actually, hold that thought. We have 5 Adepts shitting out to the third base. That is a nice little spot by the minerals to get into, making it really hard for those Lings to get any surface area.
Nice setup.
Shift clicking down at these drones. We have 5 falling in total, and Rogue is not pulling them, so he's going to lose more. 7 drones for 5 Adepts, and a handful of Lings, too. Rogue just keeps getting stunted a little bit here.
Yeah,
Rogue is taking
all those drones. That could have been quite a bad trade for Trigger. But the fact he didn't mean
Rogue is taking up, and Trigger, he's yet to take his gases. I'm still looking for 2 more gateways. Show us the gates. Remember, Blink is finishing up earlier than normal.
Trigger already sees that, which is nice. Oh, wait. It's actually gone.
Yep.
Okay, here come the Oracles.
Sorry, 5 more Stalkers, 6.
What happened? He cancelled something here?
I'm not sure exactly what happened, but in any case, Rogue is going into
I think he canceled the Roach one.
Here is We'll have Trigger get up to 3 base saturation, and now the Oracle Stalker Grounds is going to begin this expansion.
And remember, the Stalkers are moving out earlier than normal because Blink is finishing up earlier as well. This means that Trigger, he might deny the 4th.
Here on the 3rd base
He's going for it.
And he's going to have to warp in a lot of units to clean up these Lings. The shield battery's
Nice
already
run
gone
by.
down. The Zealot's at half HP when it finishes warping in there. That's the Stalkers have to return.
Yeah, he had to come back
Link's
home.
getting some work done. Queen's in the front. I just realized the cancel building was probably to make a makeshift wall if the Adepts did try to shade into the natural.
The Oracles.
The Oracles got to be so careful here. They're getting weak.
Oof.
One fall in.
They're almost losing both, actually. That is painful there for Trigger.
So what's brutal here is that Trigger, he wanted to reinforce and push across the map, but the Stalkers were kept at home because of this Ling run by, and the Ling run by, they're still wreaking havoc.
That is insane. Will he be able to keep his 4th alive?
Finally he gets
He's
across the
getting low
map.
in hit points. Here come the Hydras.
But this is so late.
There is one stasis ward there to fall back to, but I don't think he will be able to get this hatch. Morling's coming in. Only 2 set off that stasis ward. That's really good for Rogue as he pushes back.
Yeah, Rogue
his
is holding.
army.
I feel like
He's holding.
Trigger's got to get out of here, doesn't he? I mean, that's just way too many Hydras right now.
And the problem is that Trigger, he's so committed. He's so committed here. He has no further tech. He has no 4th base. Like Trigger, he has no plan for a longer game. This was meant to kill the 4th. It was supposed to.
Overseeing is welcome somewhat as more Zerg units streaming out onto the map. The one
He now
benefit
starts
is Rogue
+2.
hasn't been able to drone while this pressure was occurring.
2 more gates,
So Trigger
8 gates set
actually
up.
takes a worker lead, but I mean, Rogue's got a quite big army to be able to deal with this Zealot
9 gates.
follow up there.
Jesus.
Yeah, and Trigger
10.
right now is only on 4 gases, so it's going to be all about just the gateway units here for him. He's throwing down 4 more gates.
Trigger's all in.
10 gateways in
Yeah,
total
he's
as
on 10
well.
gates.
Just really trying to outmuscle Rogue, and I love this photon cannon being added in here at the 3rd base. That's going to deal with at least this Zergling run by that Rogue is attempting right now.
Sturgeon and Gemini, they're always, Sturgeon and State, they're always very like adverse to making strong statements, but here Trigger is completely all in. He's completely all in. He has to end the game.
Yeah, Rogue Zerglings finding all the little ways into the bases here of Trigger. Just constant aggression, constantly something you have to deal with while you're trying to do your big push, and it's going to be so hard to move on to creep here with this gateway army against all these Hydras.
I feel like charge and +2 ground weapons is going to be a really big power spike here for Trigger with the army composition that
Rogue,
he
started
is
stepping
running.
in.
But he's fighting before that.
He smells blood in the water.
He's trying to trade using the micro here on the Blink Stalkers, but Rogue is just taking some really good fights.
Yeah, the Hydra upgrades are done now, and without splash damage, Hydras can be really good against gateway units, especially if you have something to kind of tank for them like Lings. So once again, though, Trigger's still trying to make this happen, posturing on the map.
And he has
no
to.
Ling run by this time, so Trigger can just focus on
he's
his Blink
that.
micro right now.
Yeah, and I think Trigger feels like he has to force his hand right now just because there hasn't been a lot
See,
of
State is
development
now,
back
like,
at
catching
home
on.
for Protoss. Up until now, he's been sitting just on 4 gases. Now he's finally going up to 6. He's adding in the Templar Archives, but the tech up here by Trigger has been very slow, and we also don't have a 4th base. So there's a lot riding on him getting some damage done here in the mid-game before the Hive Tech is up, before the Lurkers get those critical Hive Tech upgrades. And so far, he hasn't been able to find it, but charge is done, and there's no
nice
+1
blink.
carapace
Gets one,
here,
gets
so
two.
when the Zerglings come in to join, the Zealots are going to chew right on through them, but Lurker's already finished here, so Trigger's got to get out. He doesn't even have detection. He's
Yeah,
gonna
there's
try
no
and
answer.
blink
There's no answer
and
for the
isolate
Lurkers.
these Hydras that are
Oh,
exposed
no.
away from the Lurkers, and it's a pretty good arc here for Trigger, but the lack of detection, losing those Oracles in the early game, really coming back to bite him.
Yeah, you just have no way to see these Lurkers right now. I mean, you can try and move around, which we see him doing to this other base where the Lurkers aren't. Good reposition here by Rogue at the top of the ramp. They will zone out these Stalkers, and his Hive is finishing now, and once you said, when he gets the Lurker upgrades, it's going to be basically impossible to fight this army, so Trigger's got to make something happen before the Lurker count gets out of control here.
Still just on 3 bases. No 4th Nexus, no Storm being researched. He is going into +1. The 4th Nexus is just now starting here in the center. We do have an Oracle for detection. Oh man, it gets sniped by a Rogue. There's a Revelation, but it doesn't even catch every single Lurker. That's painful for Trigger.
So painful.
This is the window where he wants to trade gateway units for these more gas-intensive units that Rogue has gotten before these critical upgrades complete, and just is not finding the window.
Looks like he's given up on the Oracles now. Throws down a Robo for detection, but right now he's caught on creep. All the Zerg units moving forward. Rebo of the Lurkers. If they get some good shots on the Zealots, that might be too much damage here. Rogue running away in the mid-game here.
Yeah, it almost feels like a tipping point, losing detection, and then Rogue having another victory by his 4th base at 77 drones versus the 61 here of Trigger. There has not been very much growth on the Protoss side of the map. He's been needing to get damage done, and so far Rogue has parried absolutely everything. There is another Zealot run by that takes down one of these drones that was trying to establish a 5th base, but now the Zealot's getting caught here in the bottom right, and Trigger, again, without detection, he can't really capitalize on Rogue throwing so many units to clean up these Zealots because the
Oh, no, he makes it! No
Lurker
shot!
just absolutely demolish
Hero,
everything.
get out of
That was
here.
beautiful. You love to see it. All those Stalkers going down in an instant. And Lurker range is finished now, so maybe it's Rogue's time to be
blinked
aggressive.
in, Papi.
If these Lurkers are able to siege on the Protoss base,
Not
there's
like
basically
this.
no way to attack into them for Trigger.
But from here, Rogue, he's just sniveling out of control. He's sniveling out of control. He moves out across the map. He moves in with the lurkers within range now of the bases. Remember, Trigger, he was all in, and the game was decided when he failed to break the 4th base. GG gets called, and Rogue takes game number 1.
Trigger just unable to really find the window in the mid game to get big damage done. I feel like the early game was pretty good for him, all things considered. It wasn't like he had this gigantic lead, but it was very playable. And then Rogue just
GG, well played.
Sniping the Oracles, getting
this has been a death animation since the 4th didn't die. Yes, if you recall, that's when we called it ourselves. We did mention that Trigger was all in. He was completely 3-base all in. Both Sid and Sturgeon, it sounded like they were somewhat aware, but they were less willing to be as decisive with their commentary on that. But basically, Trigger, he didn't take his gases, he didn't take his tech. He was on 6 gateways and eventually went up to 10 gates as well. But bearing in mind, it wasn't just that he didn't break the 4th, it was why he didn't break the 4th base. If you remember, Trigger, he had warped in 6 Stalkers, he was pushing across the map, and then the Ling run-bys. The Ling run-bys were what won Rogue that game. Because Trigger, those 6 Stalkers that were halfway across the map, they turned around. And instead of reinforcing Trigger's army to break the 4th, and he would have, by the way. If those Stalkers got across the map, 100%, he would have broken that 4th base. But he made the decision to turn them around. So he turned around with those reinforcing Stalkers. He had to go back home to defend against the Lings. And not just that, but the Lings, they still found damage nonetheless. Even with the Stalkers turning back around, you noticed that those Ling run-bys, we kept panning to them, they got into the main base, they got into the natural, they killed more workers, they dealt more harassing damage while keeping reinforcements at home, which is why Trigger failed to break the 4th, right? Those reinforcements that were meant to arrive never did. They never did arrive, and then he was kind of locked in, right? He was locked into the failed all-in, and GG. GG, well played, but with that, we're now getting into game number 2. Let's go.
Yeah, I was so impressed with, like you said, his droning, but also his tech timing as well. Like, as the Zerg, you often go for the Hydra Den and the Infestation Pit if you think they're going to go straight to Storm and a 4th base or something like that. But he delayed it for a long time, delayed the Hive, slowly added the Lurker Den, went to Hive, got the upgrade. Everything felt like it was just on time, not too greedy. And yeah, in the end, he just walks across the map with his superior eco and tech and just smashes the Protoss army. Really well done. Mothership is the map. There's not going to be a hatchback.
You could also argue that it was a little bit on Trigger for not having a wall. Like he had a bit of a hero setup there with the Lings constantly getting into the main base and into the natural. It happened twice, I want to say. Maybe 3 times, but at least twice.
Is sometimes
which was brutal.
3-player map here, Mothership.
Yeah, Probe gonna get to work on these mineral patches now here. Just trying to be a nuisance, trying to get those drones to bounce a little bit, and Rogue just does not want to deal with this. Sends one drone to attack the Probe and shoo it away. So we have a little bit more of a standard opening here from Trigger, not the full-on greed that we saw in game number 1. A bit more middle of the road.
Yeah, I like that as well, just putting a drone on that probe. Otherwise, you have to, constantly click your drones on the minerals or spam harvest, and it can be a little bit annoying to deal with. This time, he is just going to do that. I think that is the more efficient way, but just putting a drone on it is just kind of nice. You don't have to think about it for too long. Here's the Cybercore, going to be a wall at the natural for Trigger. And I don't think we'll see him do something like that exactly again. I think we might see him go for a quicker 4th base or tech option after his 3rd, which I feel like suits him a little bit better. What do you think?
I'm not sure what we're going to see from Trigger. He's got a pretty wide range of builds that he can use. And that has me excited for what he's going to do here.
I'm of the opinion that Trigger, he doesn't have as much kind of variety. He typically has like a couple of set kind of builds that he enjoys embracing, but we'll see. Like, I'd be happy to see a little bit more variety out of Trigger, but I do agree with the consensus of Trigger playing more standard this time. I will say, though, it's going to be a much more difficult defense. The 3-base defensive setup, I would say, is stronger on the Old Republic. I would say it's a little bit more difficult in this map on Mothership, just because of how open the natural is, right? The natural base is so much more accessible on this map, and we have seen many a 3-base all-in be successful from the side of Zerg. So we'll see if the turns are tabled and Rogue is the aggressor and Trigger's the defender.
They just ferry this probe away so the drone can make the 3rd base.
I think in an ideal world, Trigger would have been able to throw down, say, like a pylon or something there at the 3rd and then join up with the Adept, but...
Yeah, it's only 2 Zerglings, yeah.
Two more links.
two more
That is a perfect
Oh,
surround.
God.
Wow, that was Warcraft
losing.
3, dude. I feel like I'm back in Warcraft 3 watching that surround. That was amazing.
No shot.
That was nuts. And the fact that the Adept doesn't even take one Zergling down is absolutely huge here for Rogue. I mean, the first Adept, you're expecting it to get quite a bit done, at least having the presence on the map. I mean,
It's a shaky start. Shaky
It's
start.
basically a worker, right? So it's a painful early game loss here for Trigger.
Yeah, now the second Adept shows up, but without his buddy, you don't really have that. You don't have the potential to one-shot workers, so it doesn't feel quite as
Basically,
potent.
because that Adept went down, that means that Rogue can be greedier. He can drone up harder and make less links.
Second Adept. And Trigger again is third base again.
It makes me wonder if we're going to see a little bit of a swell of Zerglings here for Rogue in just a minute, because Trigger is one of these players that likes to be very active with their Adepts and their Oracles. We have a couple of links getting started here for Rogue. And, losing one of those Adepts means that the third base is going to be slightly more vulnerable here for Trigger. It has gotten thrown down now, but it seems like Rogue is happy just to take the very early win, build 4 more lings, and then just go right back on.
Early Eva Chamber out of Rogue, so it looks
That's
like
kind of
Ling
nice.
Hydra.
You saturate your natural, and then as the third's going up, you make some lings just to pressure the Protoss third, make them keep some of their units at home. This Spore Quarter not actually finished.
Turns the table. Those tables are turned. Exactly, exactly.
Another one. Yes, he will.
Ah,
I was
no.
expecting a Spore Caller save there, but here we see the lings, and there's no Oracle. at
turns
home,
the
just
table,
one Adept
Pappy.
here to defend it. Rogue not going to pull the trigger this time, though.
He just wants to bide his time. Now saturating.
This time a much more standard timing with the Twilight Council. If you remember, last game was much earlier. It was much earlier in comparison to the Nexus.
Flying target there for the Oracle, as the Adept is going to get picked off here. Nice surround there by Rogue, excuse me. Oracle will come to push these lings away, but just another nice move there for Rogue.
Yeah, I feel like he's having a very nice early game here. Didn't lose anything to the Adepts, got that surround. Hasn't lost anything to the Oracles yet, except a couple drones, so he's in a very good position. Ooh, almost gets a probe there as well, and we see it's going to be an early Evo Chamber into +1 melee here for Rogue. Going to be going for a lot of lings in the mid game. That can match in well into the Stalker style that we know Trigger likes.
Yeah, it's a very good response. Oracle's going to have to get out of there. You really need these Oracles to stay alive if you want to make +1 Blinkstalkers play versus heavily upgraded lings. I mean, this is a very early +1 melee attack, even faster than the +1 ground weapons here for Protoss, so Rogue going to try and get some more value with these lings. I'm surprised he's going for this fight right now.
It didn't feel like quite enough lings there, but we'll be able to run over here. Oh, no, it doesn't get another worker, but it does draw the Zealots, the Adepts out. Oh, I'm not sure what is happening right now. How do these lings keep making it into the natural? The probe's forced to pull. I don't think Trigger's going to lose too much here.
Ooh, nice micro. Pulling back these probes, not losing a single one of them.
Yeah, very nice.
Well done there by Trigger.
And yeah, it feels like a lot of action has happened, but nobody's really lost many workers. Just trading some
Well,
units.
again, there was a nice run by Rogue, forcing some inefficiencies out of Trigger. Rogue behind this going into Ling Hydra. He did get a safety Baneliness this time. Meanwhile, Trigger is taking gases, is taking up and going to Colossus. So again, Trigger's playing much more defensive this time.
We'll see how hard Rogue is going to commit into the Hydra-Ling Bane. He's starting Baneling speed relatively early here, which makes me think this might be a bit more of a mid-game focus approach here from Rogue, as opposed to what we saw in the previous game where we went to Hive relatively quickly. And that would play very well for Trigger, who wants to go 2 Robo Colossus here.
Yeah, you basically need to get to Vipers before you can deal with Colossus with the Ling Bane Hydra army. Maybe you can hit a timing where you get a good surround or something like that, or you get into a mineral line. But if you get a decent number of Colossus out, they can definitely shred all those light units. These Oracles doing some good work.
Nice harass.
Flying back into the main, get another 4 workers. Yeah, just to return to that point, if Trigger's able to get out, say, 4 Colossus, it can make these kind of Ling Bane Hydra armies tough to use. But at the same time, it's hard for the Protoss as well if you split that Ling Bane up, right? And you have to defend multiple mineral lines.
Yeah, especially here on Mothership, where it feels like there's a lot of different avenues the Zerg can maneuver their army because it is a 3-player map. But we'll see how this one's going to go. For now, Rogue is just content to continue droning up. He's taken his 4th base. He's now taking a 5th base as well in the top right. The Infestation Pit is getting started. So eventually we will have that Hive Tech coming in. I mean, he's going to be going up to a lot more drones. Mid-80s right now here for Rogue, as he's just feeling no pressure with this Overseer Scout.
Yeah, I really like his position here. He's got the Infestation Pit on the way. Lurker Den as well.
So I was under the assumption that Rogue was going to be more aggressive, as State did mention, but no, Rogue, once he scouts the main base, he throws down the pit, Lurker Den, he's taking up in towards Hive Tech, in towards Vipers and Lurkers. So it looks like Rogue is taking a slower approach, and we are embracing the mid-game.
And all the Hydralisks.
Yeah, and I wonder if Trigger's going to be moving in a moment. I'm not sure how many Colossi he has on the field right now, but he's already building the Warp Prism, and he's not going to be waiting for 4 of these. He's getting ready to go right now with just 2.
Yeah, and this is going to hit pretty hard. Rogue droned up to 80 here. He's going to have to morph a lot of Banes.
Was Rogue too greedy?
On creep, preferably from more than 2 angles. At least 2. 3 would be ideal. And here he goes. He's going to go in with just some Lings. There's no Banelings here just yet. Another Colossus joins
Trigger,
the
he might
fray,
have too much.
It feels like Rogue might be going a little bit earlier here, but he doesn't want to let the Protoss...
Rogue, he droned up too much. He went up into the infestation pit, into the hive. Nice Baneling run, but what about the main army?
Getting a lot of damage done, but the army here for Trigger on the front lines is massive. Rogue needs to forfeit this 4th base as Trigger's just hitting a perfectly timed attack right now. Moving with just 2 Colossus absolutely
oh my God,
was
so
the
many
right
Hydras
call.
go down.
Rogue's army, it's capable of a lot of DPS with a high Hydra count, but it's basically a glass cannon army and the Colossi chew right through it.
Yeah, indeed. So a lot of probes go down for Trigger. Rogue does lose the base, but he does have that other base that he can transfer them over to up here on the right side. So if he can keep those alive, he might not lose an insane amount of mining, but this army from Trigger is looking huge right now. The Banelings are morphing. Rogue might be making his stand here. The Colossus are split up. I like that. He's got to get some good connections with these Banelings.
All right, Rogue rolling in once again. The Banelings not getting the best.
I mean, Banelings, they do nothing in Stalkers. Like, like they can't do anything here.
Rogue. Honestly, the arc is really good for him, but the Colossi just chewing through everything. Another wave of Zerg going to be coming in. The Colossi
nice control with the Colossus. We got 4 Colossus.
With a thermal lance.
Banelings, they do nothing.
GG is called. Wow, what a timing there by Trigger.
Yeah, he just hit super hard at the right time. Before Hive's out, you don't have Vipers. Before the Lurkers then finish, and you can morph a ton of those and take a good defensive position. Really nice timing by Trigger.
Yeah, really exposing Rogue, going for the high 80s drone count right there. And
yeah, that's a better angle of like of discussion what State is getting to here. But again, winding it back, it wasn't necessarily the timing that was really strong, but it was kind of luring Rogue into a false sense of security. I was the assumption, and Rogue was as well, that okay, you're being more defensive, you're taking your gases, you're gonna go for like a +2 timing. You're going to go for like a +2, like a quadruple Colossus timing, which means we have time to tech up and build up. So Rogue, he droned up to 80, he got a Lurker Den, Infestation Bit, and the Hive was also morphing in towards the end as well. Basically, he was cutting Ling Hydra production in favor of tech and in favor of drones, and then bam, Trigger moves out with 2 Colossus. So again, I think he assumed that I assumed that Trigger was going to wait until 4, but he pushed with 2 instead. And he got caught, oh, I should say he got Rogue with his pants down. The pants were down. GG.
Rogue didn't have, you know, the big strong mid game army that you'd if you were all in, but he also didn't have his high tech out either yet. So, yeah, just a little bit awkward there.
Folks, we need your support on the YouTubes.
It's just a bit awkward. But GG, well played. Again, it's one of those things where typically once you can snuff out like that a push like that is coming, you're able to focus on your army production, on your Ling Hydra specifically. You don't necessarily need to build up into Lurkers and into Hive Tech and into Vipers to deal with that kind of army. That's more setting up towards a longer, later game. But instead, Trigger was committed then and there. And he was essentially all in because he lost his mineral line back at home. He was down in workers, down in economy. Just one strong push. GG. GG, well played. And I appreciate how decisive Trigger was. We've seen that twice now this series. Game 1, Trigger went for a 3-base all-in, and essentially a 3-base all-in here as well, but different variations of all-in out of Trigger. But here we go. We're going to be coming to a break. We'll see you soon in a couple of minutes. See you soon.
Mori,
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to the second half of the series. Welcome back to the RSL Revival Season 4 2026 Playoffs Day number 2. We are mid-series currently with both Rogue and Trigger. They've been duking it out back and forth, and we have seen a bit of a trend so far with Trigger, is what I will say.
Gemini was pointing out, it looks like one of those leg raises.
Sorry, as we do have our vetoes, we do have our map order. Next game is going to be on 10,000 feet, followed by Necropolis and Celestial Enclave. But something that we have noticed from Trigger is his aggressive nature. Game 1, 3-base all-in. Game 2, forced into a 3-base all-in, but very aggressive and very strong timings by both Trigger in Game 1 and Game 2. That has been the common kind of thread here that we've been seeing between these games. And we'll see if Rogue has caught on. We'll see if he has caught on, because Game 2, he was being greedy. He was taking up and getting ready for a longer game. And this is where mind games can come into play. Let's go.
Anyway, we are going to move on to map number 3. The score is 1-1 as we get this series underway. The map is going to be 10,000 feet, Gemini.
Nice.
It is.
I'm very curious to see what Rogue wants to go for. Maybe he wants to do a couple of proxy hatches every now and then. He did kind of throw in some interesting, spicy stuff in some of the previous series he did play. We saw some Ling Bane all in as well, attempted versus MaxPax. Unfortunately, that one didn't work out too much, but I do like just to see Rogue coming out with some pretty interesting stuff in this matchup, because usually these Zerg players are going to be playing similarly. They go for the same kind of solid styles that are pretty. They don't look very different from each other. But
So
Rogue
you're
is,
saying the Zergs are boring?
yes, absolutely. I've thought this my whole life.
No way, dude. Sometimes it's Roach Ravager. Sometimes it's Lingbane Hydra.
Whoa! Oh
It's
my
crazy,
god!
dude.
And they do it off the same opener every time. Whoa! No, I'm trolling. But it is interesting, of course. Rogue does have his own flair, and it's always fun to see. And it's great to see
So
him
very
do
quickly,
so well.
I think kind of how I would direct this instead, as I kind of mentioned, like we have noticed that Trigger has been very aggressive this series. I think maybe another important thing to bear in mind is that Rogue has been very reactive this series. He's been very, very reactive both in game 1 and game 2 to what Trigger has been doing. And that's not really what we expect out of Rogue, right? Like kind of in line with what they're talking about right now is the fact that Rogue is usually the aggressor. Usually he's whipping out some crazy builds, crazy timings, proxy hatcheries, all-ins, Bane busts, 3-base all-ins, muta play. That's what we expect, but we have not seen any of that this series. None of that at all so far. So that's a little bit odd. It's a little bit odd, it's a little bit abnormal, a little bit out of the norm. So we'll see if Rogue kind of gets back into his style of play or whether he continues to be more of a safe player instead. So far, standard opener, but we'll keep an eye on Rogue, as this is a smaller map with a shorter rush distance bike round.
You get like a double block, and they just both run away. Oh my god!
That's when I leave the game, dude. That's just so annoying. Anyway, the probe has left the base, confirms that the second hatchery is over here at the third base location. These Lings will go to work on this probe, eventually pick it off as it's... Oh no, it's actually going to turn around. I thought it was going to make a beeline for the main there. I'm not going to try and deny the third base or anything with the pylon like that. And here comes the Adept. Last game, this Adept got surrounded and died instantly. So if Trigger can keep this alive, that would already be a better early game.
Yeah, well, he also won that last game too, so maybe it doesn't even matter how those early Adepts go. So you will at least, of course, try to save this one. Just suicide.
I would have taken it a step further and been like, if the Adeptus survives this time, that means that Trigger loses. I mean, he's got to make sure it dies back. True.
Hatchery on the right-hand side, the creep is not actually in this location, so you can just kind of park that Adept in
Feels
the middle
bad,
there,
man.
join it up with the second one, and then you can really start to threaten either side from this point.
Yeah, and you have to make a few extra Zerglings as the Zerg. You want to have kind of 4 at least in each base, just in case they do commit to a shade here, which looks like Trigger is going to do. And there are the Lings. They greet the drones, they get evacuated. He doesn't want to lose any of these. Nice Evo chain.
He's a 4 Lings as well. Nice trades.
Adepts from chasing the drones.
6 Ling kills.
They will be forced to shade out here momentarily.
Almost keeping both of them alive, but a couple of drones and a couple of Lings for that one Adept is not too bad. It would be great if he could keep the second one alive as well, but so far this is still a pretty okay trade. He's got a third Adept actually joining as well. We'll be able to keep these alive with the Oracle here too, but unfortunately it does kind of lose the energy there. Does trigger a little bit early, but will eventually still go in, might even be able to snipe a creep tumor or two, could be decent, because of course if you can continue to deny that creep spread, will make it much easier to go for some follow-up Adept plays in the future.
Yeah, Rogue relying on Queens for the anti-air here. The Adept's going to shade in once more. The Workers Port, there's no Spore in this space, so the Oracle can kind of dive in. Good focus fire on the Oracle. He switched it from the Adepts. He's able to take that out as well as that, and gets a pylon on the other side of the map. Rogue is firing on all cylinders right now.
He gets a free scout as well. He gets into the main.
Drones in that exchange though, so still
he sees everything.
I know. Lings actually finding their way across. We'll get into the main base.
The wall's not a wall, Pappy. Hero. Trigger. We don't stop watching here. We don't watch more classic, okay? What's going on, Pappy?
Between the Stargate and the Nexus to deny these Lings from getting onto the probe line. So
wall it up, Pappy. Wall it up.
Trigger, but this is still a big distraction, and he's probably really annoyed that this is actually happening. Of course, then the Oracle needs to stay back at home as well to actually deal with this. You can't be
because the Lings are distracting, it means that Rogue is free to drone. Rogue, he's droning up as hard as possible. 10 more drones on the way, just saturating back at home, building up, securing himself. Got a full scout confirming the later Twilight Council. True.
There we go.
Yeah, Trigger actually dealt with that really well. It's very easy to lose a few probes there, and just suddenly you're a little bit behind in the game, but good control by him, good crisis management, and honestly, that was kind of, it didn't work out well for Rogue. You sent a bunch of Lings in, you didn't get anything.
Yeah, honestly, I'm sure Rogue was expecting to get at least a couple drones, or sorry, a couple probes.
Yeah, I think we were expecting him to split up his Lings and get some probe damage at the natural at least, but no, didn't get anything natural.
Nice though, of course, that will allow the harassment to kind of get thwarted for just a little bit, but the double Oracle is still trying to shark around, trying to find whatever damage it can. Will zip in, get a few more drones, and back on out. But the Adepts do get surrounded on the right side, so a nice catch from Rogue to make sure that this doesn't snowball too heavily.
Yeah, and we see Blink and +1 on the way for Trigger behind this, as well as the Templar Archives.
No, he gets another Oracle!
Another Oracle falls, 2 down so far in this game for Trigger. Some Lings coming in here, but there are Stalkers. This is
Trigger, we got to look after our boys, Pappy. The Oracles, they have so much value in PvZ. They gain so much value over time with their Stasis Traps, Pulsar Beams, Scouting, Revelations. Look after them, Pappy.
Very strange if he just starts making a bunch of Stalkers for no reason while he's going charge. So that would be a crazy.
That's
mind
a ladder game build.
That
dude.
would be wild.
2 Stalkers
actually.
into mass charge, Zealous behind it.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
Rogue trying to get any sort of scouting and any sort of damage that he can, but honestly well defended from Trigger. There's not going to be any holes there to abuse. We'll see all of the extra gases coming in from Trigger though, so he should be able to put 2 and 2 together. That there is some pretty heavy tech follow-up coming. It's not going to be any mass gateway all-in or anything like that, which is a little bit less common, but he did try to go for something like that in the first game as well. Can't remember if he actually got all the gases with it or not. I wasn't paying too close attention on the couch.
He only got 4 gases.
Regardless, it will be the fast Storm coming out from Trigger to try and have a nice, strong mid-game push once the Templar do make the field.
Yeah, and Rogue does scout that there with the Overseer. And
So as I'm mentioning, the Overseer scouts that Storm is on the way, so ooh, as the final Oracle goes down.
Starts to go into his lurker den here.
But again, Rogue, he scouts the Storm, so he's taking up into Lurkers. And this time he's safe to do so.
Full macro game here, potentially.
Yeah.
Yep, we'll see exactly how aggressive Trigger wants to be once this Storm finishes. He's really just kind of hunkering down on this 4th base, just trying to make sure he can keep this alive, getting the extra static D and everything, so he doesn't want to be too aggressive. The Blink Stalkers have really not gone on the map at all. It feels like he's barely even made it to the other side of the map. He's just only been using the Oracles for that. And unfortunately, he's lost all of them. So there's a lot of scouting potential that is now off the map from Trigger. And it's going to be very difficult to know exactly where the army move outs are. It's going to be hard for him to deny creep spread. It's going to be hard to deny any lurker move outs, which are eventually going to be hitting the cards as well, because he's got the lurker den about to finish here. So you really want to keep those Oracles alive to make sure you actually have control of the map in this mid-game PvZ, because the Zerg player can really outposition you quickly if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, I appreciate that Gemini is kind of putting emphasis on that. As we were trying to emphasize, like the Oracles, they are so useful in the mid-game, and just at every phase of PvZ. So to lose all 3 Oracles so quickly is detrimental. We can see the Trigger's taking up into a into a Stargate and a Templar Archives. Stargate into Fleet Beacon. So Trigger is going to try to turtle up into Sky Toss. And the 4-base setup here on 10,000 feet is very safe. It's a very safe setup here. It's very secure. So this is one of the easier maps to turtle up on. So that is going to be working for him. But Rogue should be the first to max. He's the first to get up to 88 workers, take up into Hive Tech, and max out. It's going to be on Rogue to try to break Trigger before he builds up into a max out Sky Toss army.
Towards the map as well, going for the faster late game tech switch, getting that mothership, getting the +1 air to eventually go into Sky Toss as well. We'll be getting some Tempests, so that way he can deal with the lurkers once they do hit the field. So I do like the style that Trigger is going for on this map specifically, as if he can get to that army and he can actually round out his tech really well, it's going to be very difficult for Rogue to break him. And it's going to be basically putting a massive timer on Rogue to be able to find an answer, because Trigger will start to outscale very quickly.
Yeah, indeed. We see Rogue moving around with these.
I believe the lurkers with lurker range can punish the mineral line.
Hit this base from over the ridge on this map. Going to work on this cannon. It's not the biggest loss if you are to lose it. Here comes a high tempo to storm them. The new storm does do a lot of damage to lurkers if you don't move them. So nice reposition here by Rogue, trying to force the Protoss to engage into him. But Trigger doesn't want to do that, obviously.
He's being very patient with this. I love this move. He knows he's got another base on the bottom left. He knows he's got a couple Tempests that are about to spawn out. So he's just playing this patient. He doesn't need to
run by. Should force a cancel.
Denied for super long.
Oh, no, he
will kill
moves.
all these Lings on the bottom left-hand side, so that's actually a bit of a waste, but it will allow a reposition from Rogue if he wants to.
Yeah, better defense here for Trigger.
Still making it very difficult for him. And now the lurkers also need to move away, because, of course, the Tempest will be able to shell them down from across that valley.
Yeah, we did see a crazy game between Rogue and MaxPax where Rogue was able to beat.
But you can see how easier it is to defend, specifically on this map. There are 2 locations. There's this one ramp on the right-hand side and the entrance on the left. So Trigger just has to make sure he rotates between those 2 locations to make sure that Rogue cannot get
For
in.
the moment, Trigger is hanging on here. These Zealots will get caught on the creep. And these Tempests are sharking around, trying to find the lurkers wherever they can.
Unfortunately, he has no detection to be actually able to see them right now. Like I was saying, the Oracles earlier did get killed off, and he's only got observers now for his detection. You would love to have those Oracles still alive to throw out Revelations. That is actually their most useful tool in this matchup, is to constantly be able to throw out Revelations and have that vision. We'll go for a little bit of a flank.
Nice
it looks like
zone.
as the Tempest on the right-hand side will join up with
Not
the
many
Mothership, the
Hydras.
rest of the main army.
Oh,
But a
no,
massive
Lings!
Ling
Oh
run
my
by,
God,
getting into the natural
again?
and main base. That's going to be a big problem for Trigger if he doesn't realize it soon enough. We'll be able to dislodge the push on the front side, but he's got to be able to kill off these Lings because they've already killed a massive amount of his economy.
Yeah, this is a huge just shot to the...
Yeah, 18 probes going down. I will say that Trigger, he did win the head-on frontal assault. That was a better trade for Trigger, but he lost 23 probes. Meanwhile, where's the Spire?
Gas any workers that he can. Here comes the Observer. He might actually fall here at the front.
Oh, so annoying.
Is there any more detection here for Trigger? Okay, another Observer comes over, so we'll be able to see these lurkers start to pick away.
Spire's done. Corruptor's on the way.
Rogue did a lot of damage here.
Oh, and it's not going to stop either. A Nidus Storm now getting placed in the main base. Trigger doesn't realize doesn't seem like he realized it. That Tempest is just kind of shooting away, and he still doesn't realize he's pulling everything away because he's attacking the left-hand side. So these Tempests are really going late. Will allow some of those units to stream on into the main base if Rogue is paying attention, but it looks like he's focusing on the left side engagement. So that Nidus will get denied. So Trigger, thankfully, will not take any more damage in the main base, but he needs to keep this base on the left-hand side alive. Otherwise, he's going to really lose the tempo in the economy.
Yeah, Trigger needs to stabilize here and get his better tech units out right now.
Yeah, so far, good defense. Trigger, he denied the Nidus. He was also able to recall in time as well. So Rogue, he fails to break any of these locations.
Fight the Mothership. Trigger might decide to try
and we're still in a very low Corruptor count. There we go, 10 Corruptors are on the way.
Very far forward here for Rogue. Morlings running in hold position in this mineral line. Don't get a ton of worker kills. Nice micro there by Trigger. Send them into the gas. And suddenly we have a lot of action here.
Yeah, this army from Trigger has actually gotten very large. So Rogue has killed a lot of the economy of Trigger, but he's not really touched the army, and that's the problem.
So he tries to get it in, Brutal Storm.
It's very difficult to kill off this army as the Zerg player if you let it get there. And for now, Rogue is starting to struggle to engage this. Had some nice parabombs.
I mean, Rogue, he has no army. The reality here, Rogue, he only has a handful of Corruptors and a handful of Hydras. Rogue, he cannot fight this head on.
Starting to get thinned out as the
and Trigger's doing it.
Continues to reign
He
in the
overwhelms.
sky, giving that cloaking as well. And you can see Rogue is just losing supply. Trigger will suddenly punch Rogue out of this game.
Yeah, very nice decision by Trigger to move across the map there. He defended for a long time. Rogue was throwing away portions of his army to take out economy. And then after a few times of that, a few times where he loses all those Lings, the Lurkers, Trigger says, okay, that's enough. You can no longer fight me. Moves across the army. The anti-air in the form of Corruptors wasn't quite ready for Rogue. And yeah, Trigger just blasts him in the fight, basically.
Yeah, it's the problem that you have in this matchup. And honestly,
I'm curious to see what they say.
In a lot of different matchups as well, where you focus so hard on trying to destroy them early and trying to just kill off the economy, kill off all the SCVs or all the probes, no matter what matchup it is, and then you just don't have enough for the actual push. Like, you can kill their
yeah, for the most part. So GG well played. Again, Rogue, he was investing quite a lot into run-bys, counterattacks. As we were trying to emphasize, Rogue's transition into Corruptors was very, very late. And on top of that, he was lacking his Lurker Hydra army as well. Like, he was just lacking when it comes to his main force. So he could never fight head-on. Could never fight head-on. Once Trigger did move out, there was just nothing to stop him. We also saw a big commitment of Hydra Lurker on the left-hand side. If the Nidus weren't finished, I think that would have been a different story. Like, the Nidus was a pretty big part of that, but it got shut down as well. And yeah, Trigger did well defending, but as we did try to emphasize throughout the course of this game, it is easier to defend on 10,000 feet. It is easier to turtle up and get up to 4 and 5 bases. We saw that Trigger did keep up with the army rotations. Yes, there were some Ling run-bys, but only Ling run-bys killing probes. The main army still built up over time for Trigger. Did successfully build up, and now Trigger is 1 game away from claiming the series. Una más, papi, una más.
Game of the night. Let's see if Trigger can actually move on in the playoffs.
New maps are like buses, dude. We don't see one for ages, and then suddenly 2 in the same set.
Why is that like a bus?
No,
You
yeah,
never
it's
heard that
like a
saying?
bus.
No, I've never heard that
Like
saying.
things are like, you're right. Ziggy's looking at me weird. Yeah, it's like this is a very
buses?
common saying. You wait for a bus for a long time, and one doesn't come for ages, and then 2 come at once. You've never heard this saying?
I've never heard the saying, but I understand what you mean because I've had that happen to me. Yes, but I've
What's
never.
the American version of that?
I
You don't have
I
a
don't
Burger
know.
King in your town for years, and then suddenly 2 open at once.
Instead we got a McDonald's and a Burger King and a Taco Bell.
No.
The choices are limitless for us, man.
The analogy falls flat. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's nice to see.
I was gonna say that I would imagine that kind of saying doesn't make as much sense in the Americas, because from my understanding, like public transport is less common in the Americas, right? Like public transport is not as relied upon. But they got there. They got there. They understood each other.
A lot of them so far, Throne of the Dunes,
The Burger
become a
King.
staple so far in all these series, which has been cool to see. And then this one as well, Necropolis. And there's one other one that I am missing you today. Is that right? The funny named one.
Yeah, that
But
name.
it is an interesting map overall. Apparently, it's named after a famous Korean song. The map maker just really liked the song, and so it was like a ballad or something. So
Oh, they weren't like feeling romantic? Or?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they
It's
went
missing
for
you
that
today,
vibe,
like a
so
21 song.
That was the I don't know. That's why they named that map that way.
That would be a gaming move, like naming your map after the girl you like. Like, look at this map I made.
And then you invite
Check the name.
And then you invite her in for some StarCraft and chill, and you
she's like,
load up
I
that
don't play
game.
this game.
You
I play
load up on that
Roblox.
map. You're like, hey babe, take a look. What's that map called, huh? Yeah.
Anyway.
It's so good.
Yeah, anyway, pretty standard openers here in this game. We got the Nexus coming along for Trigger, as well as an Adept. The Probe leaving. This game, Rogue does get to take his natural base at the place you want to take it. Not going to have to try and spread creep and deal with those Adepts more awkwardly. That's always nice for the Zerg player. And yeah, there's Probe running around, seeing if there's a quick third base going down. He does see the drone leaving.
And that's about it. We'll be able to get that.
I think I like the map layout here. I'm still trying to analyze Necropolis from afar because I have not seen this map before. It's made by Avex. Shout out to Avex. Like again, like the bases seem relatively spread out, relatively like there seem to be some decent access points as well. I'm curious. I don't. Nothing strikes me as wrong so far.
Mix things up
Or
a little
like,
bit, but just
you
we'll
know.
wait for that second Adept before he actually wants to commit.
Yeah,
That's
this-
egregious. There you go. That's what I was
Queen
looking
at the
for.
top of the ramp here, waiting for the Adept. Going to try and make them use their shade before they get to the mineral line. Otherwise, they can run to the mineral line and then shade into the main, and you can't defend both easily. The Lings will be waiting back here if they do decide to commit. There we see them. Trigger, I think for the first time this series, actually not going to commit to the double shade, right?
Yeah, he usually does like to go for this and then use the double Adept as the way to deal drone damage. Since Zergs are so good at defending the Oracles nowadays, it's very difficult to get drone damage with them. So he likes to switch it up a little bit and go for a different tempo play where he just goes for the 2 Adepts to try and get the damage, and then you usually leave the Oracle at the third to defend it against any Ling counterattacks. This time, not going to be going for that. We'll just threaten the shades a few times and then send the Oracle across. Knows that there's not too many Lings on the map, so he will be feeling pretty safe to defend that third base with just the Adepts. And the Oracle is just having a staring contest
Oh, he
with
spawns.
the hatchery.
And this time he does save it with the Spore Crawler trick. Nice.
Yeah, so far it's been a pretty standard opener. Once again, it's going to be Evo Chamber first out of Rogue, so Rogue is going into Ling Hydra. Typically, when you see a fast Evo Chamber, it means fast plus on melee. It means there's no Roach Warren, but ooh, Lings, they don't quite find damage.
But decides not to as the other units come across for Trigger. And yeah, Trigger hasn't done a ton of damage here in the early game, got to say.
Yeah, it's been very good defense from Rogue overall. He's been very well positioned with the Queens, has the Spore Crawlers in the correct locations, and is just very good keeping tabs on where these units are moving. Sends the Lings across to make sure the Adepts are staying home as well, so that way those can't go shade in. And actually, the wall off here is massive from Trigger. I didn't realize you can't... I don't know if he messed that up or if you can't actually get the correct wall on this map, but that's actually quite interesting that he's had to use so many buildings to make this wall off here.
Yeah, indeed. Looks a little bit weird with that.
For those who don't know, I hope that Gemini went further into that. Gemini, he's known as making all the Protoss wall-off guides, but because it's a TLMC map, there's no wall-off guide for this map, and I hope we got a little bit more out of that from him. Like, I would think that he would know how to correctly wall this off, because it does look pretty huge.
All 3 of them will fall here.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
Nice
a bit
catch.
of a oversight there from Trigger. Didn't have the battery and didn't have those Adepts positioned.
Gemini, critique his wall more, Bappy. You can do it.
Area, so just loses them
You
for
can do
free.
it.
It's not really something you want. Obviously, it's just a few Adepts, so it's not like it's the end of the world, but it's nice to keep those alive, because once you go for the actual attack later when you're pushing with Blink and whatnot, it's kind of okay to just send those Adepts randomly at another base at the same time, and you're just giving the Zerg more things to worry about, and they could get a couple drones, so Yeah, it would be nice to keep those alive, but unfortunately doesn't manage to do that. Lings continuing to be sharking on the map, just trying to find anything, get any scouting, just to know exactly what's going on. And we'll be going for that +1 melee, like you were mentioning, and actually a fast Spire as the
Going into
transition from
mutas.
Rogue. So switching it up, trying to go for something different.
Does it
here
go
as he's,
unscouted?
not expecting Trigger maybe to be as aggressive, since he is again going into that very fast storm.
Yeah, I really like this mix-up by Rogue, and I think this is a good map to do it on. We'll have to see how much damage he's able to get done, if he's going to commit really hard into the mutas, or if he just wants to make, say, 8 or so and try and pick off a bunch of...
He should be going into mass muta, otherwise it'd be a roach one. Like usually, if you only plan on making like harassing muta and then going into a ground army, there'd be a roach warn out. But I believe roach warn was skipped, so there should be mass muta out of Rogue. And again, as we're kind of alluding to, Trigger has yet to scout, and Trigger it looks like he's going for a much more defensive style.
Trigger would be cheeky and try and put it over in that location. +2 on the way instantly.
So Rogue should get away with it.
I got a feeling like we might be seeing a commitment to the mutas here. I honestly would really like to see it.
Yeah, it would be really cool to see a mass muta play coming out of Rogue. Someone who's extremely good at counterattacks and just making the game chaotic. Definitely suits his style. We'll blink into the main here as the Overseer was trying to get a nice scout, so we'll be able to deny that at least. So that's very good. We'll actually supply block Rogue for just a moment as the mutas do come into production. We'll need a few more Overlords to be able to continue doing that. And for now, the Spire has not been scouted by Trigger. I don't really know if he's put the pieces together. I don't think he's got much defenses.
There's been no sign of mutas yet for Trigger to react to.
Ling army.
Oh wait, no, he did have the roach warn. My apologies.
So he's just kind of expecting.
So he could have gone for a ground switch, but he isn't.
But there's not a single gas unit on the map except for these mutas until now. So that is a big thing that you have to be looking for as a Protoss player. Let's see if these mutas can catch him off guard.
Okay, get the high Templar.
Now that you see all these Lings, you definitely have alarm bells ringing in your head. Like, where are you spending your gas, Zerg? There's no Banes or anything like that, so he must know something is up. Here come the mutas. This is the first time they are revealed. They're going to jump onto the probe lines. There's no static D. There's no units. Actually going to go for the pylon.
Going for the pylon. Okay.
Interesting choice. But this is powering quite a lot here. Only a couple gates go
Trigger,
down.
he's all in.
Just going to send it. He's not even going to try and defend, it looks
he's
like.
He's completely all in.
This is kind of the right play because he's been caught so off guard by this. He would have to run all the way back
only the one storm.
And then you're just opening the floodgates at that point for the Zerg to have full map control. So he's just going to try to send it. He's got Storm and he's got plenty of energy on the Templar
Trigger have enough?
The Lings and mutas are just dive bombing this third base, trying to kill as many units as possible. Everything going on the fourth base as well. We are in a full-on base trade.
And I really like this for Rogue. I gotta say, he's already split his army. He's already denying
Rogue,
he
does deny all the cannons.
Bases worth of mining.
Breaks the third, breaks the fourth, breaks the natural as well.
All these probes,
and Trigger might just be taking too long. Like he's gonna lose everything.
Something like that. He might need to make a sneaky hatchery somewhere. So many workers going down on both sides here, Gemini.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that neither player has actually sent anything across. Those high Templar would have been nice to pick off if Rogue was paying attention, but of course, this is getting very chaotic very quickly. He's trying to target
Trigger, he has 9 probes left, down to 5.
So he can know
the
if his opponent is
drones,
going to
he
get
gets
revealed
away.
or not. Trying to kill a couple of these mutas is Trigger with the storms, but of course, they're just going to run right on by.
Trigger, he's losing every probe.
Really nice if Rogue could deny that +2 attack. Would be very
good. He recalls, he's crazy.
At that point.
No!
The recall gets denied, so not able to actually keep that Nexus alive. There's not a single Nexus on the field for Trigger at this point.
These are the final buildings.
No probes and no income due to
the final buildings. He's gonna lose everything.
I was gonna say the minerals coming back from the +2 canceling gave him enough to be able to make a Nexus, but he can't actually make anything. So he needs to respond to the army. He needs to kill all this off. Otherwise, he's just
he's losing everything. All the buildings.
Rogue has 20 workers going to mine in summer. I think he has Trigger has some units in the bottom left, but frantically trying to save his base right now, running all the way
Show us the
home.
buildings.
One stroke in that mineral line, but there is
Come
so
back
much
to the main.
Muta here.
Here come the storms.
He might even be able to fight directly. Oh,
very nice storms.
Are insane. Run away.
He needs more where that comes from, though, because these mutas are still pretty healthy, and there's a lot of them. He can't actually take this engagement. Mutas are not usually the army that you want taking a straight-up engage, but when the numbers are this high, it is absolutely the play, and Rogue will be sending us to a game number 5.
We said earlier we get a 3-0 followed by a banger, and this is exactly that. Going to game 5 between these two, and I really like Rogue's game plan here, and the execution was excellent.
Yeah, that was perfect. I mean, knowing exactly the timing of when he wants to go, he surprised Trigger with the move out of the mutas. They were not scouted the entire game, and he kind of realized that Trigger, his only option at that point is to just go all in with the attack. He needs to go for the counterattack and the base trade and just kind of hope that it would play out in his favor. And Rogue just instantly realizing this, knowing he has to commit as well, and just starts sending everything across the map. and he knew that
It's,
he had the advantage in that regard because he initiated the base trade in the first place.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, bearing in mind that Rogue's commitment to the base trade was a reaction to Trigger, and Trigger, he was kind of forced into it just because he had so little back at home. He had nothing to defend, he had no cannons, no shield batteries because it was completely blindsided. Not just that, but he was also kind of building up into a slower style as well, going to Stalker Storm without really much to move out. So it was just a really awkward position there for Trigger to be caught with his pants down in such a way. Again, it came down to his lack of scouting. He did keep his Oracles alive this game, true, did keep him alive, but he did not get behind the natural. Didn't get behind the natural, didn't confirm whether there was Hydras or Infestation Pits or Spire on the way, so Trigger was caught with his pants down. GG. GG, well played. And we're going to the ace match.
Able to maneuver that crazy game much better, and we'll be going into this game number 5 to decide everything.
Yeah, I mean, if you keep the Nexus alive, there's always a chance you can rebuild, right? Like,
Yeah.
a probe at a time. Maybe it's going to take, you know, a lot of steps to get there, but eventually you may. But with that Nexus going down, so did Trigger's chances in that game. The last map here is going to be Celestial Enclave. This is the map with the pocket base. So talk to me, Gemini. How's that going to affect the matchup?
I feel like this is the first time we're actually even seeing this map this season. I feel like it's been getting vetoed quite a lot. I may be mistaken, maybe once or twice before, but it feels like we haven't seen it too much. Honestly, had a moment there where I was thinking, like, did they host the wrong map? I was like, I thought this map got kicked out because we do have the Patreons also vote for a couple maps to remove to then replace with the new voted ones in. So for a second, I thought this map wasn't even in the pool anymore. But anyways, yeah, no, this map is definitely interesting because it has that backdoor natural, like you're mentioning. Generally, it's kind of ignored for the most part. For Zergs, you can go for that a bit quicker just because it's quite easily defended. Looks like Rogue was just kind of anticipating a potential proxy, actually, maybe going for some crazy shenanigans with a proxy gateway, so just scouting that out. But generally, I feel like we ignore that pocket base just because it doesn't offer so much in general, and the pros just like to go for the more forward base. Perhaps you can go for the third as like maybe some kind of crazy fast gateway timing or something like that with some efficiency with the mining and whatnot, but yeah, I don't know. We don't see it too much.
As Gemini is alluding to, typically you save the pocket base for a 4th or 5th or 6th expansion just because it has less value, right? There are less resources there, there are less gases there. There are some builds that do incorporate it faster if you want to be hyper defensive and hyper turtly, but usually you do want to save it, usually.
Yeah, just a single gas down there. Feels bad, man.
It does feel really bad, especially as
I'd never take this base.
No, I
would take like every other base on this map. I don't play this game.
I have uninstalled it from my computer.
All right, yeah. But I know what you mean. It doesn't feel good to take that base.
Yeah.
Neither player doing that. But just to talk about why potentially, as we start here in the early game, Stargate going down.
Kind of. They're talking a little about doesn't feel good to take it. I would say that it's just a really safe base to take later on, and it can boost your economy, get into a longer or later game. Usually we see a little late game here on Celestial Enclave because there are so few avenues of attack. It is very difficult to break a turtling, a 4, 5, and 6 basing player. So that's why this map is often vetoed, because of how defensive it is. And this does typically favor Protoss. I would say the Trigger is favored here, but there are some aggressive options for Rogue. There are some all-ins that make use of the rocks, where you knock down the rocks and you go for your all-in. Otherwise, there are other builds where you can go for a Spire, for example, and you go into Mass Muta.
Builds that have been more common in the past, and some other Protoss players do like to mix them in every now and then still, but Trigger really does favor that Stargate, really does favor, okay, actually, I was going to say Oracles, but here we do have that slight switch, so he will be going for something a little different with a fast Void Ray. So this gives the tell that he might be trying to hide something behind it, because he's going to try to deny the Overlord scouts from getting into his base.
Yeah, one nice thing for him is there's actually 2 Overlords across the map.
Yeah.
Oftentimes the Zerg will only send 1, and then if you go for a Void Ray, you pick off 1 Overlord. Not too bad, but being able to get 2 feels really good. You have to remake that as the Zerg, costs a bit of money in the early game. So if he can find that one that's on the very right side of the map, that could be nice. We see him moving over to his 3rd base now, getting ready to take this as well. Oh, the Lings might find the probe. Doesn't commit for it. Oh, that's got to be worth it, right? I'm going for that.
You're really invested in this one.
I'm glad that Gemini noticed as well.
If you lose a couple Lings.
No, I agree with you. I agree. It would have been worth it.
Like Sturgeon, he was locked in, mate. He was like, oh my god, the probe though.
Dude, as a Zerg player, if I see that probe trying to make that 3rd base, I'm jumping on it every time. But Rogue, much rather me, comes in once more and finds the Adept all alone without his buddy, without the Oracles around. to save it. Not Oracle, sorry, about the Void Ray, of course.
Like that, ironically, I think that's the most amount of emotion we've gotten out of Sturgeon the entire broadcast. Like that was that was crazy. Oh my god. He woke up, Bat.
So he's using it more as like a mind game in that regard, where he's trying to feign
make it happen again.
Faking, or that he's doing something crazy by faking it. He's being like, oh yeah, I've got a Void Ray, I'm trying to deny your scouting. Oh my god, I could be doing something really weird. But in fact, he's just doing something totally standard behind it. So going for the Oracle as well for a little bit later of an attack, trying to get a drone or two. And they're just going to play it safe anyway. So Trigger, once again, going into his very normal style.
Ooh,
but just in a slightly different way.
Yeah, and the lone Oracle not able to get too much.
Overlord speed is on the way. Eyes are on Rogue. Is this just for it could just be for scouting. Otherwise, this could be for an all-in.
Can't afford to lose anymore. The Void Ray actually going to float into this base, losing a lot of damage already on it. I feel like it's nice to park this around where the fourth base could be for the Zerg. Sometimes you get the cancel and Rogue once again taking the...
Again, eyes are on Rogue. Again, typically Pneumatized Carapace is only done for scouting. We have 5 more Overlords on the way. This should be for an all-in.
I do
Here come the Roaches.
well. That's like the one.
He's going for the German taxi.
Overlords, I make sure my third isn't dying. And then
You can see the Observer knows. Mapu, he
you
sees.
can pick it off quite a few times if
He's like, guys, look. There's the Dropper Lords. The German taxi's coming.
Like there's an Overlord getting morphed into a Transport Overlord.
Yeah, it's an all-in.
What do you call that, by the way? Do you call it a Dropper Lord? Because I love calling it Dropper Lords.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of controversy around this one.
What controversy? That's what it is.
What did you call it? Transport Overlord?
I don't know.
I've never heard anyone say that.
I was going to whip out something new, man, because I was going to get roasted, I thought, by calling
So the casters are finally realizing, like, oh, hold on, there's an all-in coming.
Anyway, we see Rogue's actually making roaches for the first time in this series. Going to be sending them across the map. Got his queens in the Overlord. Maybe a bit of a German taxi type thing going on here as he's going to stay on just 53 workers.
Sturgeon, he knows the lingo.
Trigger here. There's actually Lings in the main. Slight distraction for now. Not too many workers going to go down, but here comes the real push.
Yeah, the Queen's getting dropped in the front. Creep Tumor trying to get thrown down so that way we can continue to transfuse as the Zerg player. We'll be going super aggressive with this attack. The Static D is not quite ready just yet, so RSL wants to try and kill that off, or at least kill some of the units before the battery can start to heal them. The Biles are starting to go down on some of those units, and now the Biles the Void Maker's down! Are starting to get killed off.
He took the Bile to the face.
Razor's Edge right now,
the
trying
Void
to defend
Ray.
this push.
Yeah, there's just
Can he break through
here right now? The Static D is starting to fall. One sentry there, he's going to die.
There's still a healthy Stalker count.
And I think Rogue might be doing it here. He still has enough anti-air with the Queens to take out this Oracle.
But he has no batteries left. The Stalkers are going down.
Just trying to pick off whatever they can.
We need Lings.
Soon the workers
We need the Zerglings.
As the Lings get in the mineral line. The Stalker's forced to move back, forced to warp in into the fire of this Roach Ravager. More Biles going down, lands on a Protoss unit there. A workers fall. Rogue actually has the work lead right now. Just side up Roach speed. You know, once the attack's already fully underway here.
The Stalkers are starting to get a nice defense overall as the Lings did get shredded, and it's only...
Yeah, again, like, it's a really healthy Stalker count here by Trigger, but he's running out of shield batteries. At the same time, like, Rogue, he kept going for economic damage instead of the main army. He's running out of steam. Rogue is running out of Lings.
As well. We'll be able to dodge this set of Biles.
Rogue is running out.
On top of these units. Rogue really needs that extra swell of Lings, and they do start to come on in. That's going to win. That's when it's going to start to swing for Rogue in this engagement, as 15 probes overall have died recently. A couple more Lings also running into the main base to try to continue to create any amount of chaos that RSL can look for at this point, as the Blink Stalkers looks like they actually blink on top of the rest of the units at the front, trying to clear that out so that way he can maintain a defense.
Yeah, and Rogue just gonna pull back for now. Still Lings in the main.
Bearing in mind that Rogue is still in, he's still not droning. Rogue, he's not droning, he's not saturating, he's making more rushes behind this. Trigger, he has held initially, but he did bleed out a lot of workers. Trigger is still ahead economically, but he has to be careful not to take up too much here.
As many units as he can. We're in kind of a weird low eco mid game, but I think Trigger may have held on well enough here to be in a very good spot. So that's the slight
the flank.
The Roach speed is done
the
now.
Flanking army, no! He surrounds.
He actually was hidden by the line of sight blockers on the right-hand side, so those were able to sneak up on Trigger for just a little bit, and it might have allowed him to get a decent amount of DPS on the Stalkers to allow him to then continue with the rest of the units. He's not droned up after that initial attack failed. He's continuing with this attack, and it might have caught Trigger off guard, expecting Rogue to go on to the drones afterwards. There's still a good amount of units from Trigger, though, and it's making it very difficult for him to just get across the map cleanly, as the micro from Trigger continues to be very good, kiting these units across, and now Rogue is kind of stuck on this side of the map. He's going to have to suicide these units. See, again, even walking into his own Biles as he tries to chase these Stalkers down.
Yeah, more Zerg
Oh
coming
god,
across the
we're
map,
dropping
though, and there's actually
frames.
still creep here.
We're dropping
from the
all the
initial
frames.
tumors. A lot of workers going down to these Lings. Behind this,
Oh my
another
God.
16, and right now it looks like Trigger's army is good, but he's lost eco behind this, so if rogue can hang on, mine for a little bit longer, he might be able to win this game. Trigger trying to push.
Yeah, it was so risky for Rogue. Time and time again, he's been prioritizing economic damage, and now it's worth it. Right now, he has crippled the economy.
2 games ago, when he was trying to just all in, once he realized that he lost too much economy on the other side, Rogue now trying to make a defense this time. Can he actually get enough Roaches and Ravagers to kill off this Blink Stalker force? Because the Blink Stalkers get very good in these engagements. Once you get this massive concave set up, once you can get them off of creep as well.
He's running out of Roaches.
Gonna relocate before the
The
bios get thrown
concave,
down,
the
and
splits,
honestly, everything from
Trigger.
Rogue is starting to disappear. Trigger might actually be making this work.
There's so many low HP Stalkers. He blinks forwards though, picks up some roaches.
GG.
And Trigger is somehow going to take this game number 5. What a defense there.
Yeah, that is actually crazy. And again, you can see Trigger he's taking hits economically every single time, and he just knows that if he can just survive with enough units, if he can at least trade out the units or his probes for army and actually kill off what Rogue is attacking him with, he will have a moment where he can go across the map and kill Rogue as he's trying to recoup. And that time it really worked out well.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if Rogue should give up that base. I mean, he only has
So
50 workers and
winding it back here, as I was trying to emphasize, they're talking about like, oh, like Trigger, he was willing to lose all these workers and willing to lose his economy. It was a choice by Rogue. If you notice, like it happened 2 or 3 different times where Rogue was reinforcing with Zerglings and they arrived and he chose to peel them off into mineral lines instead of collapsing on the Stalkers. And if he had chosen to collapse on those Stalkers, I do think he would have won those main fights and would have broken the main army and then broken the economy thereafter after knocking down all those Stalkers. One of the reasons why Trigger did a great job at maintaining that high Stalker count is because Rogue kept choosing to send his Lings into the natural mineral line or the third base mineral line or the main mineral line. He kept choosing to send them across, exposing his own Roaches and Ravagers in the process, and kept bleeding out Roach Ravager as well. So that was an intentional decision made by Rogue when it came to that all-in to go for economic damage. If you remember at the end, I was even commenting, I was like, oh, this doesn't really feel quite worth it. It was finally worth it towards the end, where he finally got 17 probe kills, but he had bled out so much in the process, and Trigger snowballed out of control. I think I would agree with Sturgeon when he said that after he had dealt all that damage, it probably would have been wise to just give up on the 4th base and build up more reinforcements and make use of that economy. But of course, Rogue didn't know that he was ahead. He didn't know how much workers he had killed with those Ling run-bys across the map. Like, he didn't know that he was in a stronger position, didn't know exactly whether Trigger was all in or not. But GG. GG, well played, congratulations. Trigger, he does advance on. He does advance on into the next round. It's going to be Trigger versus MaxPax in that lower bracket semifinals. Or I guess in the semis.
So we can get in some more games, some more StarCraft 2 action on the 5th of
And that wraps up our broadcast. Wraps it up.
We're going to crown another RSL champion. We'll see if it's someone different or if we're going to have another back-to-back with herO finding his way a little bit further. Of course, he's going to have to do the gauntlet on the ground on the lower bracket there, so it will be a bit difficult, but very excited to see what goes on with the rest of the schedule.
Yep, and also a big shout out to the official partner of the RSL. Thank you so much to Archon Studios. Pre-orders are now live for the Tabletop Miniatures
for a couple of weeks. They're still live.
They are the premier tabletop miniatures game company in the world, and we have the big box here on the table. Talk to me, Gemini. What are we looking at here?
We've got the big box of the starter set for Zerg and Terran. Lots of stuff in this. It's looking super cool. I can't wait till we can actually get all this stuff built up. There's so much stuff in here, dude. There's like so many units. We got the Queen. We got
get some
tons
paint
of Zerglings,
sense,
a bunch of
get some
Hydras,
paint.
Got some Marines and stuff in there.
Go
ahead, check out their website. They have some of these listed out. They've also got a couple of videos showing what some of these look like. They look absolutely beautiful once they're painted, and I'm very excited for us to get our hands on, probably start to actually get a game going with this. Very excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, we've also got a video of Ziggy up at the moment putting together.
Yeah, GG, well played. And again, shout out to our players that did make it through here tonight. Both MaxPax and Trigger did advance on into the upper bracket semifinals. I believe our next broadcast for RSL should be next week. Once again, we're going to be co-streaming the entirety of the playoffs. Otherwise, our next main event here, our next broadcast on the channel is going to be tomorrow. Let me just quickly double check here. Bam.
Update emails which tell you
There is our schedule. We should be live tomorrow with the Wardy TV Monday. That's going to be tomorrow evening. We have the Tuna Cup on Tuesday. As we mentioned before, Tuna Cup is typically on Sundays over the weekend, but because of RSL, we didn't want to clash. We didn't want to, clash with the schedule of another big event, so we did move Tuna Cup to Tuesday instead. So Tuna Cup's going to be on Tuesday. We then have Kung Fu Cup on Wednesday, Big Star Cup, more Wardy TV Mondays, the podcast, and RSL on Saturday and Sunday with the Platinum StarCraft League over the weekend as well. So a very intense broadcasting schedule as always here on the CranKy Ducklings. You can join us, of course, throughout the course of the week, and also consider checking us out over on YouTube. !socials in the chat. We do stream on YouTube at the same time as Twitch, and our VODs are live instantly on YouTube. So if you see something that you like, and if you miss it live, do check it out on YouTube. Plenty of content there. Plenty of content. Plenty of StarCraft. Let's go. Here we go.
Yeah, we got some great videos over there, spoiler free, of course. We got some of the group pickings as well.
Do you think Protoss is Imba? I asked Shin about Protoss being Imba, and he said no. I mean, why are you trying to balance wine in the chat? What? What are you on about, Pappy?
For the last couple, and they're, I don't know, just the way
referring to YouTube chat. Referring to YouTube chat.
No one fondles balls like Tasteless, man. I'm gonna say so. Some great stuff from him. So go ahead, check that out on the YouTube.
I think it's always. I think when trying to look at that sort of thing, I think it's always important not to minimize the success in the games themselves of the players that we're seeing before us. Right. When it comes to this series, it was very intense, very back and forth. Strong moments for both Shin and Trigger, and we were also emphasizing that Shin, he did make certain decisions himself when it came to how he was conducting himself in that all-in, and how there could have been some changes made, some other decisions which could have led to more success, of course. We also said something similar on 10,000 Feet, where Rogue, he was hyper aggressive, but he wasn't really getting ready for the longer and later game. He was hyper focused on like harassing instead of like dealing with the main army ahead of him. So definitely some improvements can be made there for Rogue. I think it's always context always does matter, and I don't think talking about Protoss is applicable to this broadcast and this series and the games that we just covered. Referring to like balance and things of that nature. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it, and we're going to be wrapping up here for the evening. Again, we're going to be live tomorrow with the Wardy TV Monday. With the Wardy TV Monday, we will be back. We'll be live. And likewise, we still have a week worth of content ahead of us. So take care. Do take care. Take care, everyone. Take care. We do appreciate the support, of course. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for the Wardy TV Monday, or throughout the course of the week, of course. Throughout the course of the week. Take care. Check out our Patreon. Our Patreon does fund our tournaments on a regular basis. So it funds events like the Tuna Cup, like the SDO and MSO as well. The amateur events also funded on a monthly basis. But we'll see you guys next time for some more StarCraft. Until then, take care, everyone. Take care. Do take care. We'll see you guys next time. Ciao. Bye. Ciao. Until next time.